And then she kept on saying, it keeps itching. And I'm like, well, yeah, that's why you use the cream, right?
Clearly. Obviously.
Of course.
Cool. All right, let's make sure we're on the same page there.
Yeah.
Anyway, welcome to Enter Tournament of Champions podcast. This is a podcast where we take our favorites in entertainment and put them in a tournament against each other, which we don't do at this time of year because we're busy recapping 2018. This is our final top 10 for 2018. We're doing top 10 movies. Woo! And I'm a cuck for movies. I am a hardcore cuck for movies.
Not
so
the
I'm really
last time
excited
we
for
talked
this.
about 2018, though, I guess, with the Cuckies coming up. So
yeah, we got the Cuckies, which
we
is
will
our
live
own...
in 2018 all year this year. Okay.
Yeah, this is this entire year is dedicated to things that happened last year.
Yeah, we have to go back.
We have to go back. We made a resolution.
Year in review, day by day. We're going to review every single day.
Yep. We made a collective resolution. We are going to look back more often and in the year that's like directly behind us.
And in this case, constantly.
All the time.
We're going to look back constantly and only.
I mean, what is there to look forward to at all? All we can do is look back.
Well,
exactly.
nothing this year that's coming out is doing anything for me personally. So.
Yeah, nothing. They're all great. They're all.
Probably going to be
They're
good.
all amazing.
Yeah, but just not for me though. Personally.
For me, didn't do anything. Yeah.
Yeah, not for me.
Right. Just an opinion though. But
no.
Jesus. We're gonna get a lot of mileage out of this, especially as we go down our top 10 list. So yeah, you mentioned the Cuckies, and we are. I mean, amongst the three of us, voting is open for us. And then
I got to submit those.
When
I have to get in there.
That's fine.
Man.
I'll send you guys a link again. Whenever you guys submit those,
I
we'll like kind of narrow it down together to 5 or 3 nominees, depending on the category, and then I'll put that in a different document so everybody can vote on it. Everybody that's listening to this, everybody that follows us on Facebook can put just click a button and vote.
Sweet. Awesome.
And there's not going to be a login required, and you can vote more than once because I want an actual I mean, it's going to come down to us ultimately, but I still want people's opinions.
Want input.
Yeah, exactly. And it could be a good tiebreaker too if we're like all of us are on the fence.
But if the masses are like wrong though, we're not going to go with it. So.
Oh, Bohemian Rhapsody? No, we're not doing that.
Yeah, that movie of the year is like Green Book.
Where's
it's like
Green Book
I don't
for
think
Best Picture?
Yeah.
Fucking nowhere.
Nowhere.
Not
That's
nominated.
where it should be. Fuck that. Great
Fuck
movie.
that. We tucked that away back in the 60s where that movie should be. All right. So so that's coming up in February, and we're also doing whenever we can because I'm starting school this week. So whenever we can, we're going to come back and do a top 16 tournament specifically for the box office, so we can totally pick apart the audience's viewing habits from last year.
Oh yeah.
Which is it's totally worth it because we've seen. I've seen all the movies that are in the 16. It doesn't look like they're changing anytime soon, except for
I have
Aquaman.
not seen Grinch. That is it.
Yeah, you're fine.
I think that's my only oversight.
All they did to that movie was just add shit that didn't need to be there. Like the bones of the story is still the same. You know, like it's still the same
saved
fucking
Christmas?
movie.
Get out of here.
Spoilers. Spoilers. He dies.
Oh wow, he gets testicle cancer from.
He gets impaled by a tree. Yeah. No, that movie's the exact fucking same, other than like one side story that's like, why is this in the movie? Oh, for time, to pad timing.
The animation is cuter.
Yeah, the animation is, it's cuter, it looks better, but it's still pointless, some of the stuff, especially because the other one holds up so well. But we'll talk about that when we get to the box office episode. So yeah, we're going to go 10, each of us, takes a turn with each number, like we always do, and the order is me, then JD, then Kyle. JD's in the middle this time. Are you feel okay about that, or?
I feel okay being the meat between your man sandwich buns.
God.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm really good. I feel great about it
with that entire wording, but that's fine.
That's fine. It's all good.
It's fine.
We'll say worse. I'll say worse. We'll be all right.
It's an early podcast.
At number 2, we'll circle back and go through honorable mentions.
I have none. It was a bad year, so
it was terrible. Yeah, it was honestly there was so much great stuff, but nothing did anything for me.
Not for me either. Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
It's crazy that we all agree on this.
So weird.
Clearly,
the Coen brothers not make it in my
year.
top 20 this year. That makes me really mad. I should probably move
that's
some
weird.
things around.
That's weird, and to me, like my legit top 10, a Damien Chazelle movie isn't in it. You know what I mean? Like,
you fucking betrayer.
I know, right? Because he's like the goat to me. Like, he's just crazy how good he is. He's on. To me, it's kind of like he's our new generation. He's the closest thing to a new generation of Spielberg, in my opinion. Which I'll talk about him soon. But so since I'm starting, I did something different with my list. I decided to I totally ripped off Cinefix and their categories. So I basically chose a genre for each of my 10. So the genres I chose are like action, animated, comedy, drama, blockbuster, and indie. Those aren't really categories, but they kind of are, because sometimes those either do or don't get a light shined on them, depending on who you ask. I did put foreign in here for once, and documentary, so I'm going to be talking about those.
All right.
And there's some other, in my honorable mentions have some other categories that I just didn't have room for. But yeah, so that's what I did. I picked my favorite from each genre, and then I ranked them based on preference. So this isn't really my quote-unquote true top 10, but it gives us all like a chance to shine a light on different movies, you know?
Yeah.
So this is going to be fun. So my number 10 is a foreign movie. None of you have it on your list. Starting out perfect. Because I'm sure you guys would be like, Jeff, what's better than Roma? Right? I didn't pick Roma.
I would question that. Yeah,
you would question that, right? Look, I loved Roma, and we surprisingly we all agreed that it was great. And
I was dragging my feet. I was like, I'm going to be the fucker that hates this movie, and you can't hate it. You're an asshole if you hate that movie.
Yeah, I'm not kidding.
Like, that movie is so unassuming, and like it's done on such a human level, and to where there's like, it's low key how much directing is done. It's not so. Like, people that argue about like The Revenant or Birdman not being good movies is like, man, that director's doing so much, and Alfonso Cuarón's not doing a lot in this movie. He's just like, just let the story kind of, or the characters take over. Right. And that movie really turns into something like just fantastic and human and emotional at the end. I love that movie. But I went with The Guilty for my number 10.
It's a push for me.
Fucking liar. The Guilty, by the way, this is going to be remade in America, in American language, with Jake Gyllenhaal as the lead. So I could just wait until that comes out and to shit on it or whatever. I don't know. But this one it's not German, even though the title would kind of insinuate Germans are pretty guilty.
Yeah, they are.
I can't remember what country this comes from, but Sweden? I can't remember what country it comes from. I could literally just click on the movie and find out, but I'm too lazy. Anyway, this movie is like, it's a single setting movie, kind of like Locke was, where it's just Tom Hardy in a car making phone calls. It's kind of the same thing, where it's like this one guy in a dispatch center taking phone calls on an emergency 911 line, and he's kind of like jaded and kind of fed up with the job by the time the movie starts, you know, and he's just kind of whatever. He's just kind of nonchalant with every caller that calls in, and is just kind of like, here's what you need to do. Don't be dumb or whatever. He doesn't say that verbatim, but the way his attitude towards people is kind of shitty. And then he gets a call from a woman who's kind of like talking in code to him, kind of like talking as if she's talking to her child. And he's like, "Oh my God, are you like kidnapped right now? Are you can just," and he's telling her how to respond to him and stuff. And then he gets completely wrapped up in this case to his own detriment and to a completely unethical level. It just sounds
totally like a part that Jake Gyllenhaal is gonna fucking kill.
Oh yes, yeah, because there's a lot of just facial, like have nothing
if it's just Jake
to
Gyllenhaal
go
in a room acting his ass off, like I'm probably there to see that one.
Exactly.
So,
yeah, because that's the thing. The movie relies on this one guy to tell you everything, because there's some horrible shit that happens with the story with that crime or whatever that he's following. But we have no visuals of it. Where all we have is them, the like voice acting of the people on the other line, and the person that obviously is taking the phone call, the lead guy, and his reactions and stuff. And there's like a twist, not like a twist, but like a reveal more than halfway through it where it happens, and like it's fucking incredible, because the camera just sits there in silence with our actor, and he's frozen. He doesn't know how to react to this, because he's like, shit, where did I make a wrong turn? You know, like, it's such a great moment. And this one's just as tense as shit. Like, it's just got my palms sweaty, knees weak, arms spaghetti, mom spaghetti, whatever.
Nailed it.
It's just really good. Highly recommend this one for foreign. Roma's just going to win all the shit. And also, I think this one would be one I would watch again over Roma, for example. That's what it kind of comes down to at the end of the day sometimes with my weird-ass list. So that's my number 10. JD, what's your number 10?
Well, my number 10 is just as riveting, I guess, but in a different way. A little bit. It's not comparable at all. I put Upgrade at number 10. This one was...
Better Venom.
Hard on men for me.
Hard on men.
Better Venom.
Hard on men. Yeah. Upgrade. Gonna get that upgrade.
You get your chip in your clip. You gotta get an upgrade.
Yeah.
Just stem in.
Take a step and you're gonna get upgrade.
Yeah, stem in M&M.
I'm wearing that denim with my M&M.
Imagine if it was Eminem as the voice of STEM. Oh my god.
That would be fucking awesome.
Yeah, that was definitely the only. I mean, Sci-Fi had one super duper strong contender this year for me, and Upgrade was the only other contender for that category for me. So like, that's an honorable mention for Sci-Fi for me is Upgrade.
Yeah, I mean,
no other Sci-Fi movies.
It came out of nowhere. I think. Yeah, I saw this one first between the three of us, and I was like, "No, guys, it's fun. Like, it's really fucking fun." Tom Hardy Jr., Tom Hardley, whatever we want to call him.
Tom Hardley.
That's my favorite nickname ever. It's just a different shape of the nose, and that's about it. I see the rest of their face is very similar, but
I don't see the similarities.
What's the movie that he was in? Not The Invitation. Wait, was it The Invitation?
He was a guy in The Invitation.
Yeah. So that watching almost half The Invitation, it was maybe 45 minutes of that movie. I go, wait, that's not Tom Hardy.
Oh my god. That's crazy.
That's funny. I guess this is like is the dress blue or whatever color for us, Jeff? Because you don't see it like at all.
I don't see it at all. Yeah.
And I mean, Kyle and I are both like, we see it.
They look like the same. I think all bearded white guys look the same. So
you're not far off. You're not far off at all.
Yeah, if you put JD and I in a room together, we look the exact same. So
actually, I would pretty much assume that people would get us confused. Yeah, if we're both wearing hats, or we'll see. I don't know how many hats you got. Anyway,
not many. I'd have to wear like a beanie or something. I don't know.
But yeah, man, this one just totally caught me by surprise. Same. It was a easy movie pass view for me back when I was still doing that shit.
Yeah, 2018, the year of movie pass. Never forget.
The year of movie pass, and
R.I.P. kind of.
Rest in.
They just announced their third tier operating services, guys. You know,
that's so ridiculous.
That funds their gravesite because they're not buried yet, but they're definitely buying the plot at Restland right across the street. They're definitely gearing up for that. But yeah, man, this movie was a shit ton of fun. The Red Band trailer definitely kind of led you on to how violent it was going to get, and it wasn't excessive. Like, it wasn't happening all the time. There was a lot of other story parts going on, and the most fascinating part for me was just watching Logan Marshall Green just. His head being completely disassociated with his body and his facial reactions.
That's a hell of a performance. Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know how you do that. I do not know. So if he wants to give,
he did it way better than Tom Hardy. Also, and Tom Hardy did a good job in Venom, but boy, I was way more interested in this guy's performance in Upgrade.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely, and the STEM character, if you will, and the twist at the end of the movie with everything. It just felt like a cool little self-contained bit of awesomeness that nobody expected to do well. So this was a big surprise for me.
Same here.
Yeah, the ending was so good.
And we all love bummer endings at Entertainment Champions Podcast, that's for sure.
Right. True. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. And, it felt good to see something that's sci-fi that's not going to immediately get, like, the franchise thing going on.
Oh, no, they're done.
Machina.
Yeah.
Not like the quality is there of Ex Machina, but just I
think it's a fun Ex Machina. Like I know what you mean. Not that they're like similar in any way, but just in the fact that we got a good great sci-fi movie that just kind of came out of nowhere,
and it's original. It exists in its own vacuum,
encapsulated right there in that moment.
Yep.
I'm all about it.
I thought this one was worthy of a 10 spot. Sorry because the next 5 movies down, the next 10 movies down on my list are all great and could have been in my top 10 in other years.
I'm glad you gave it a shout out, man. That's a great movie. Like you said, dude, came out of nowhere. Even though the word of mouth was a little hot before we all saw it, it was still kind of like when you left the theater, you're like, well, I can't believe it was that good though. Like,
right. Like
it should not have been.
Yeah. I just the guy at Alamo was like, dude, have you seen that Red Band trailer? Like before I went into the theater, I'm like, yeah, dude. He's like, it's fucking worse, and I'm like, wait, worse? He's like. Good worse. I'm like, all right.
Okay, good. Thank goodness. Yeah.
I love that. I love that about Alamo. Like they'll actually
hype up. Give a shit about movies.
About to go see. Yeah, they care. It's great.
Yeah,
I love that. Instead of mindless teenagers that are like, "Can I get you?"
Sup, bro?
Sup, bro?
Can you layer my butter? Like, dude, you do 3 things, man. Just layer the fucking butter, man. Shit.
You want me to double scoop it too?
I'm gonna ask for any eye rolls with that butter, bitch.
Yeah, right. You keep that, son.
Kyle, what's your endear us with your number 10?
My number 10, I put on here because this is like one of my favorite genres, and every year I wish we got a kicky, punchy movie as good as this one. The Night Comes for Us.
Holy shit! Yeah,
that was
hot.
Great.
Damn,
that movie's awesome.
I remember watching the trailer for this, and I go, "Looks like they're moving underwater. Looks really slow, like the fighting, like the choreography and stuff like that."
Oh yeah, compared to what we know from the Raid. Yeah,
we live in a post-Raid like world, and like all these people are like from the Raid. Pretty much everybody, like all the people that matter in this movie. When you're watching it, don't feel that at all. In fact, there are scenes that are so overly visceral in this movie. Might be some of the most crazy scenes you see all year. Just so many great deaths, so many. Oh my God, so much blood, so much carnage. The final fight is classically elongated. I feel like at the end of these types of movies, I always have that one fight where I just feel like, boy, did I just run a marathon? I feel like spent after that. Like, holy shit. This movie is filled with that, but that one at the end is just particularly good. You get to see like the good guy from the Raid be a bad guy. You know, he does good bad guy. I like that.
Complex
the sergeant
bad guy too, not just
complex bad guy. Yeah. And the story's pretty good, you know. It's not like it's not winning any awards or anything like that, but like it's you don't always get like comprehensible stories or even interesting stories like in these kicky punchy movies. And like I think like the Raid 2 like really changed a lot of that, you know. And I think while this movie doesn't like reach the heights of that story, there at least is something to grasp onto here, and there's a series of events that is happening, you know. What's her face? Hammer Girl's in this, and she's looking good.
She's looking
more ways
real
than
good.
One.
Yep.
Looking real good. Let me tell you.
She's my favorite thing, like my favorite discovery from the last year or so, because y'all had me watch The Raid, I think, earlier last year.
Yeah.
She's great.
She's
I
awesome.
love her.
She's the best.
I love her.
And the sergeant from the Raid is like the Raid 1 is the good guy in this. He's great in this. Yeah, he's a great lead. I really adored this movie. You know, there were probably other better movies that came out this year in just terms of just filmmaking and stuff like that. But this is my genre, and this is what's different about my list this year. There's gonna be a lot of shit on here that I just like. A lot of stuff is like literally for me. Things that I just watched more than anything this year. I have a lot more fun stuff than like good stuff, if that makes any sense. You know what I mean? Like that's stuff that like just speaks out to me, and I have fun with more so than like eye-opening film like I have for like the last few years. So. We'll see that as we move on along here. But yeah, that's all I really have to say about The Night Comes for Us. If you haven't seen this movie, it's on Netflix. It's the easiest movie to go watch right now. Like you could literally go watch it this second. So, but finish the rest of this 4-hour podcast. So
yeah, exactly. It's a good, it's under 2-hour watch. It's a comprehensible story. There's nothing too complicated going on. So, I mean, just seriously, just buckle up, man. Just buckle the fuck up. That's all I got to say about the movie.
If you're squeamish, this is not the movie for you.
No, the first fight scene tells you alone, like, oh, shit, he just put a bottle, like, straight through that dude's, like, face or some shit. I can't remember what he did, but it was
There's
just
a fight
crazy.
inside of a meat packing, like not factory, but, like, like shop or whatever. And,
with all the hooks and shit,
It's fucking God. What do you think happens with those hooks, everybody?
Yeah,
go watch
what do you think? Did they turn that into weapons, or
only hook one person, or is it like 30? It's like 30.
Yeah.
They don't just use it
There's
once.
Never
it's not
just
that
one
gimmicky.
person in these fights. There's always like 100 people on screen. It's
of course, and they're all like, "Do I go next? Do I go next?"
Taking their turns.
Right.
But that's the thing with action movies. That's an old trope for martial arts movies, especially, where it's just kind of like you just accept it if you watch them early on in your life. That's just part of them.
If you fancy yourself a good fighter, maybe all those people think, well, I'm going to be the one that takes him down.
Yeah, it's true. It could be an ego thing.
My story, and no, you're just the fucking grunt in somebody else's story.
No, it's like Chris D'Elia's stand-up where he's like, "You're not the man on fire. You're just a dude. you're just an extra. You're not Denzel Washington in Man on Fire. You're just a guy."
That's so true.
Oh, God damn it. That stand-up's great. Anyway, so my number 9 is in the genre of, this is independent movies. So I had like a lot of choices in this one, actually, because independent movies kind of get more buzz around them nowadays, especially because of social media. So I decided to go with one that really kind of fit the mold of what that is more, like one that's not really talked about as much. So like other ones, I almost went with Thoroughbreds, because I watched it again and I was like, holy shit, the writing's really good in this and the acting's just tremendous, and it makes you think like big time after it ends. But yeah, other ones that are legitimately in my top 10, I didn't put in this spot. Like Blind Spotting in 8th grade are super high in my list. Yeah. And I didn't put it in this one. I decided to select Hearts Beat Loud for this one.
Oh, thank you. You know what, Jeff? Bless you, man.
Bless you, sir.
It's not a push. So JD hated the movie, obviously. So
yeah, it's not a push, no. But God, I love that movie so much.
Same here, dude. Yeah,
I just hear it and I smile.
The reason why I went with it is because it does feel small. Like, I mean, Blind Spotting has so much hype. I mean, not so much hype around it where it's getting awards, and that's a tragedy that it's not. But it got hype around it, and 8th grade damn sure definitely is getting awards and stuff.
Right.
Thoroughbreds maybe not as much, but you have two leading ladies that are just, I mean, I don't know. They kind of got a lot of buzz before the movie came out, at least. Hearts Beat Loud is just kind of like, just fucking came out of nowhere, man, and destroyed me the first time I saw it. And I mean, it didn't do it so much the second time, but the second time I was just able to like kind of take it all in terms of like the enjoyment of what's happening. Yeah, I love the dynamic between Nick Offerman as the dad and Kiersey Clemons as his daughter. And I like that she's like full blown lesbian in the movie, right? And he's just like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
it's just no big deal. Like it's just
like no big. She might as well just like told him her favorite color. He's like, oh, yeah.
Okay,
oh, cool. That's an interesting part of
my favorite.
Congratulations.
Yeah, it's very.
It's like he always knew, so he just asked her boyfriend, and then she's just silent. And he goes girlfriend, and she kind of hints, and it's just that's it. That's all you really get because the movie's not about that struggle. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's something totally different, and it's not even about her. I mean, she's a different race than him because he married a black lady. There was a tragedy. She's no longer in the story. It's not about that either. It's about her as a songwriter and the father pushing her to pursue that as like a career. And yeah, dude, that speaks to my goddamn heart. I'm a songwriter too. I mean, I didn't really have the familial person, the person that's like, hey, you should write more because I write too, and we should write together. I didn't have that. I was just kind of friends that I would hang out with. That would kind of, give me the kick in the butt for that. But this is still like, yes, so there's part of this that's kind of like, maybe I wish this was somewhat my life a little bit. But yeah, the songs, anyway, regardless of that personal attachment, some of the shit that I saw in this from like a technical songwriting level is just so dead on in a way that like Stars Born is just not. Like, yeah, like the scene where they're writing the titular song, Hearts Beat Loud.
I didn't know the first word that you said, but I definitely knew the second one. So.
The second one, you know it. You know what I'm talking about now. When they're writing the song, she starts just playing random chords on the keyboard. And the way he's learning it, he's playing all these wrong notes on the guitar to try to learn what she's playing. And I'm like, hey, there you go. That's songwriting. Not this bullshit that we saw in Stars Born, which I love the movie like more than I expected to. But like, she barely sings any of the song in the parking lot. Yeah, she's like, it was something, boy. I'm like, oh, come on. Right. You don't remember the song in your drunk ass state. Right. Enough to and have enough time to write it before your next gig to surprise her with it. I don't remember that
shit when I'm sober and I get a melody in my head.
Yeah.
That's why he's the best guy. That's why he stole that voice and he's the best now.
Stole that voice.
Oh, stole it from you.
So everything about Hearts Beat Loud felt like authentic, and it's just a genuinely like innocent, feel good movie. Like everything that you feel in this is kind of similar to what you feel in Won't You Be My Neighbor, where it's just fucking joy.
Yeah.
And it's just tears of joy if they do come for you. If they don't, it's fine. You're just not human. But but yeah, and also the songs are great, dude. I left the theater going, I won't hear you call. Like I just get the fucking songs in my head. And all three of them that they played at the end, I was like, holy shit, these are all catchy. Like they're all just really good.
Yeah.
So I love the movie, man. It's
movie, and I would say that of all the indie movies that you just listed there, that's the one that's the most indie as fuck. And I mean that in a good way.
Yeah. From all the way to like it's music to
it's about an indie rock band and it's an indie movie, and Nick Offerman doing his indie dad role.
Yeah, exactly.
It's hitting all the indie shit,
and it's under the radar too, whereas the others I feel like aren't as much. Yeah. So yeah, that's why I chose that one. And there's going to be other qualifiers for genres too that are like, wait, don't you have that higher on your actual top 10 list? And it's like, yeah, but the genre though. Yeah. Anyway, so JD, what's your number 9?
My number 9 is a little movie that cost Tom Cruise's ankle.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah,
I left Fallout in my 10.
We're pushing that.
It deserves to be.
We're pushing that.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's a push, my friend.
Son of a bitch.
Sorry.
Likes action movies. Genre's gonna be high.
Kyle, what's your number 9?
My number 9, and this is going to be a starting trend. A lot of these movies are like, boy, you guys really told me to watch this one, and I was just like, nah, I'm probably not gonna, and watched it and was like, yeah, all right. This one is Bodied. Is that a push?
Oh, fuck yeah, that's a push, though.
Ooh.
Cool. Right.
I'm glad it's in your list, though. Because that movie is
it's in your
legit.
list. That's crazy. Why would it be in there?
That movie is like legit. Hey, came out of nowhere. Literally came out of nowhere.
No, seriously. And both of y'all watch. Well, we'll get there. Never mind.
Yeah,
let me.
You guys get it.
I was excited to talk, but I'll wait.
So my number 8 is the genre. It's not really a genre like indie wasn't, but like it's blockbuster. So this one isn't one I just push. It's actually a blockbuster that when I think of blockbuster, I think of the most movie to movie ever. If that makes sense.
Okay.
A movie that has a fuck ton of people in it and delivers in a high bar.
It's
and the
Meg,
only
isn't it?
other qualifier that I had for this was Black Panther. But
all right.
Which I loved Black Panther, but that was the only other qualifier I had. The one I decided to go with was Avengers Infinity War.
Is that
okay?
Yeah. That's my number 8. We synced on Avengers Infinity War? You don't even have dumb rules. That's awesome.
Man,
wow.
Yeah, this is just before I'll let you take the reins here, but I watched this movie more than any other movie all year this year.
That's exactly why I had to pick it. It was just like a no-brainer. Like, and I love watching Black Panther, going back to it because it's a movie that I do have to be reminded of. Like, it kind of depreciates over time in my head, which is kind of weird because that movie is good when I watch it, and I'm like,
it's good, yeah.
Dude, Michael B. Jordan's just fucking on another level, and I don't know, all the relevant cultural stuff that's happening in that movie is great, but like Avengers Infinity War is just like
Avengers though.
It's fucking and it's everybody. Literally everybody, dude, and it's
every single person except for Hawkeye comes on it.
Yeah, and Hawkeye and Ant-Man didn't feel like fine. Oh, there's a gap in the cast there. It didn't feel like that at all. There wasn't like there wasn't a niggle in my brain or anything like that. That just made me really frustrated that they weren't there. Yep. So I mean, yeah, I just love this movie, and I love that it's full force. It's a Thanos movie.
It is, yeah.
Really ballsy to go there this late in the game.
The act structure very much so follows like Thanos, which is it's very interesting to think about that. Like he's the core of the story while everyone else is just having their moments, you know?
Right.
Yeah, kind of weird.
Yeah, it's kind of strange and super ballsy ending, and like the air was left out of my theater when the credits just rolled and people just kind of sat there going, "Is that really it?" Like,
same here, and I kept on saying, "There's no way they're going to end it with the snake. Like, there's no way. There's just no way. Yeah, they're not going to.
One and done. Yeah,
they're not going to do that. And when it ended that way, I go, "Oh, I feel like a jackass."
Spoilers on the movies that we discuss, by the way. But
I mean, this one everyone knows by now.
Yeah, it's a blockbuster.
If you haven't seen Infinity War,
there's memes about the snap. You can't it's been spoiled for you if you haven't seen it. Sorry.
Yeah, have I sent you guys that dumb video of like the guy who tries to do the highest singing note ever of all time or whatever, and it's just literally him going like it's really 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 high pitched like screaming.
No.
You haven't seen that? I haven't sent you guys that? I've failed you as a friend.
I've never seen that.
No,
they've overdubbed his high-pitched scream over when Thor hits Thanos with the axe. And he's like, I told you you'd die for that. And then Thanos goes, and it's fucking hilarious. Oh my God, dude. It kills me. But you have to know about the meme to appreciate it. So it's just, I got to send you 2 videos in a row now. I love the shit out of this movie, dude. And I love, from the beginning, I love this movie. Like, I love that it shows you that the real stakes involved here is, like, not right just as Thanos is killing everybody, but, like, he's killing people that we love. Heimdall is gone. Not that he's as big of a character, but, like, Loki is huge. And he's just, like, no resurrections, and that's fucking it. That's, Thor's just left there miserable, floating in space. And then it goes straight
entire populace dead,
all of his people. Like Asgard is
Xandar, remember hearing about that a few moves ago? They're dead.
Yeah.
It's just you just keep on hearing about like all these dead people.
Right.
Like, okay, holy shit.
It's fucking crazy, dude. And then when they go right to New York from there, I just saw all that action stuff with Iron Man and Doctor Strange. their interplay with each other and Peter Parker. Like, of course, they put the biggest quippers together for the entire movie.
Immediately.
Like Star-Lord eventually hooks up with him, and it's like, this is match made in heaven.
All these three huge egos ended up on the same fucking planet on the edge of the galaxy together. It's just like, how and what world? Like, what a coincidence, you know? They knew they would be magic. Like, they knew who to pair together and stuff like that. And I think that's like the joy of like the Russos and stuff like that, and all the writers. Like, they knew what they were doing in terms of pairing and just like moments and stuff like that, and everyone gets their moment. Everyone does.
Everyone. Yep.
Hell, like you're even like Gamora gets more like a huge arc in this as well, and there's a lot going on in this movie.
Mantis gets her moment, man.
What's that?
Yeah, Mantis. She's
Mantis even gets her
names
moment.
and take ass. Yeah.
Mantis may be one of the most powerful things that are happening right now. You know, like she for her to be able to like hold. Which, by the way, that whole Titan part, favorite part of the entire movie. Just all that shit is just
badass.
like Tony Stark gets a moon thrown at him? You know, that doesn't happen.
If you throw a moon at me again, I'm gonna lose it. Yeah,
I'm gonna fucking lose it. Yeah. You know, and Doctor Strange going like full on like 7,000 armed, you know, being or whatever, and like multiplies himself and like really confuses the fuck out of Thanos for a moment. Like they almost have him so many times. Not even just that time where they're all holding him down. But even in the fights afterwards, like there's moments where you're just like, yeah, like shit, never mind, he turned it around again, you know. But like it's that part on Titan is just a really good back and forth. It's a great fight.
Yeah.
You know, and by the time he gets to Earth, he's way too powerful.
And also, by the way, I love that this movie made Doctor Strange and Thor look so strong.
Yeah,
like because Doctor Strange was going toe to toe with Thanos by himself.
He was, yeah.
I mean, eventually Thanos was like, "Oh wait, I have a stone," and then he kind of brought the reality back to whatever was happening there. But yeah, Thor being like the one to show up and have the biggest badass moment as a hero in the movie. It's just awesome, dude. He's going to have so much to do with the actual end game. Pun intended.
What's so crazy how like all of a sudden they know how to use Thor.
Yeah, it's fucking
like
nuts,
it's like it's taken so long and they're like, oh no, we know what to do with him now. It's like, boy, y'all are really knocking it out of the park with this Thor usage.
And even Hemsworth feels that way too, where like they tried to kind of strip away some of the humor that he had from Ragnarok, and he was like, no man, we just spent a whole movie fucking changing my character. We're not going to revert back to Super Serious Thor.
No, absolutely not. No, and he comes in and like, man, he's got so many great. He keeps on calling like Raccoon Rabbit, and you know, it's just like there's so many like great little like lines or whatever. Oh, and I love
kill you.
I love him and Star-Lord posturing on each other. You know, it's like, well, I killed my father and came out with both eyes. So you know, I guess I'm better.
Shit, no, you are a dude. This is a man.
Yeah, muscular man.
You're one sandwich away from being fat.
That's it, guys. I'm gonna commit. I'm gonna get a Bowflex and I'm gonna
commit. It's such a great movie.
A lot of humor.
It sounds like JD hated it. So
yeah, absolutely.
Clearly. Yeah, clearly. I mean, you know, it's garbage. It did nothing for me. I appreciate its greatness, but I'm a DC cuck now.
It's a hollow movie, like everything else.
Yeah, I'm a DC cuck now, so I'll come in for life.
Obviously.
Oh, I can't wait to see where.
Let's go shut down. No
permission to come aboard.
I get it because you're.
There I go.
Stuff like
get it because I'm on a sub. That's what he should have said. Do you get it? Because I just barged in.
I really like how much time there was for humor in this movie, though. In between all of the emotional beats, there's plenty of emotional beats, especially as you're hitting the end there.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's another really funny line I like when like Iron Man like is about to face off with the dude who steals Doctor Strange, and the guy's like, I'm more powerful than you, and like I'm just the best, and I'm gonna blast you, and there's nothing you can do about it. And all Tony Stark goes is like, yeah, but the kid's seen more movies and just blows like a fucking hole. Because they talk about aliens like a scene ago, you know. It's just a hilarious like it's just a perfect Tony moment, you know. Like, you know, whatever. I don't give a shit about any of that.
I've never seen that one.
Yeah, it's great.
What were you saying, JD? Stuff.
It's like when Holland brings it up, or Spider-Man brings it up. You guys ever seen that really old movie, Aliens? Like, I love how
it just cuts away.
That really old movie.
If you no more pop culture references.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, man, I love
these
that.
Movies are really helping them solve some problems here. So
yeah, absolutely. I love that. Yeah, dude, I love that it's like calling itself out on its own bullshit sometimes like that, because like, yeah, it's something that if he continued to do the pop culture references without Stark saying anything, I'd be like, okay, come on, man. Stark would have said something by now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right. That's
these
annoying.
writers just know the characters so fucking well.
They do, yeah.
And I love that James Gunn had a hand in writing so much of the Guardians, like quipping and bits, like the
I hope that shows
stuff.
in this next movie too.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Joe Carnahan, who directed like Narc and other movies and shit, and wrote a lot of movies too. He was like, somebody like mentioned to him, you would be a good choice for Guardians 3, and he was like, if James Gunn's not doing it, why fucking bother?
Yeah,
and I was like,
absolutely.
Good for him.
Yeah, good point.
Good for him for standing up.
Yeah, and people. I know that guy, and he might be all right for it, but I feel the same way. It's like, man, that has such a particular feel, and no one's gonna be able to recapture that. So just why even try?
Yeah, watch him make way more money for DC now, and Marvel's gonna be like, God damn it.
Yeah, right. This is their big upswing, is like James Gunn just going over there,
Yeah, exactly.
And all of a sudden everything's better.
Everything's just amazing now.
They're like, you're gonna help us with everything. Like, you're gonna write your movies and direct it, but you're gonna touch all of it. He's like, I'll fix this for you. Yeah, sure.
So that's Colin Mai's number 8, and we did do a review podcast on that one.
Yeah, for sure.
It was longer than the movie, so
sure.
Probably. So, JD, what's your number 8?
I had a little fun movie called American Animals at number 8, which I know you guys enjoyed as well. I don't think it's on. It was fun.
It was technically speaking like on a whole other level, and it really taught me some values that I'd never really thought to pursue in my brain before. But it really did nothing for me.
Really did nothing at all.
Nothing at all.
That's what I got from it. You set the expectation that it would be great and it wouldn't do anything for me. But neither did anything else on my list. So it did a little bit more than the 80. Let's do some math here. Than the 78 other movies that are below it in my list. Right. It did just a fraction more, and it's probably because I'm a nationalist and it's got America in it, and I like animals too. So, yay! I don't know.
It's true. America is in the title.
It is. So you gotta support it blindly.
That's a great.
It's a very patriotic movie. Yeah.
Sure. No, but just stylistically, I thought it was cool. The blending of, storytelling and documentary style.
And we've all seen reenactments, but never like that smooth. Yeah.
And normally that type of it was just very smooth. Normally that type of transition, taking you in and out of a retelling and going into the fictional version. I don't know. It kind of throws my brain off. But this one, it felt very seamless. Especially, I think this one came out a little bit after Three Identical Strangers, which used its was an actual documentary, and its reenactments were literally just the back of one dude's head. That's all they did.
And that's classic reenactments.
Yeah, and that's what you kind of expect. But this one was actually interviews, and it was the guy
movie scenes.
It allows you to break the fourth wall without breaking the fourth wall, because something would happen in the movie and then the real character would be like, wait, but that's not really how it happened. And it was just cool little clever stuff like that really stood out to me. And it's also just a really interesting as fuck story, like how these kids could actually garner up I got no other word for it. They had some fucking balls. To try to even pull something off like this to this scale is just that's just too ambitious for what I would imagine most, what were they, 17 or 16-year-old kids or
college,
something?
So
I think they were okay. So they were 18,
a little
19,
bit older, something like that.
Yeah. Still, you're not that far removed from being you're still kind of
a dumb kid.
Yeah, you're still a dumb idiot. But yeah, man, I just thought this one was fun. I haven't gone back and rewatched it.
I need to.
So I'm just kind of relying on my original consensus on the movie. And also keep in mind, I saw this immediately after Jurassic Park or Jurassic World. So it was like, so that's a good movie. Got it. That's okay.
Gotcha.
Okay, got it. So by comparison, this one never had a shot to not be great.
American Animals is in my my non-genre based top 10.
Proper top 10.
Yeah, it's in it's 7 or 6 or some shit like that. It's pretty high.
Yeah.
Because this movie did so much that I'd never seen a movie do before in terms of. We've seen. There was a movie, a TV show last year called Wormwood, where it was a blend of Peter Sarsgaard,
that was
doing reenactments and then people talking. But this was just so different because it felt like the real people were in the reenactments too.
Yeah,
and they were sometimes for brief cameos and stuff. But But yeah, it was just insanely well done, especially when it got down in the nitty gritty and they were like, okay, now it was time to do the robbery. And they didn't do any of the interview stuff during the robbery. It was just you sitting there in the audience, not knowing what the fuck was going to happen because the real guys are being silent. You know, they're not talking. They're not doing narration.
Right.
It's you having to put up with how fucking awkward this whole thing is.
Yeah, and, it doesn't go right.
Yeah, it doesn't go right at all, and it makes you feel like really fucking bad, and clearly the guys feel bad, and it's just not. And I love the message there of like, just don't fucking do it. Just don't do it. If you have this kind of idea, just don't do it. It's not worth it because these guys are all living with, even if like they didn't have to pay the crime all that much, like in terms of like, there's not a lot of jail time for a botched robbery of this magnitude.
Art heist.
Yeah, exactly. So like it's clearly there, but they're still like in their minds are still like punishing themselves. They feel incredibly guilty, and they should. But like, there's a message there, dude. Just
forever,
like don't
one way or another.
Pursue the American dream another way. Basically, is what it's what the movie's trying to say.
Right.
It justifies its title for sure. I love the movie, man. I'm glad it was on your list.
Yeah, it was good. It was good. And Movie Pass made that movie, or they
did. What the fuck? They helped like distribute it or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, they were involved. Like, I don't know.
I saw their name and I think somebody in the theater laughed.
Oh, everybody in my theater laughed.
Oh, really?
Most of us. Yeah, and there were.
It was
about
during the downward
people.
spiral at that point. Like everybody was just kind of like, "Fucking Movie Pass."
Yeah. And actually, the guy that was sitting in a group of 2 or 3 up in front of me was like, "Well, that wasn't so bad for a Movie Pass view." And so I was like, "Dude, are you fucking kidding me? That's the thing you're gonna criticize? Like, this is great for a Movie Pass movie."
Yeah.
Like, this is better than fucking Gotti. That was out around that same time.
It was.
Like, that's another thing they're
I still haven't
stamping their
hate watched
fucking
that yet.
name on.
God damn
no,
it.
I haven't either.
I feel like wine needs to be involved when I watch that one. That's
I got a bottle of whiskey, so maybe I'll sync that up. Let me see.
Maybe it's time on the always. Okay, so Kyle, your number 8 was Avengers: Infinity War.
It was.
So back to my number 7, which is in the category of drama.
Drama mean?
So there were many ways to
sleep.
Drama. Yeah, there are many ways to go in this one because what the fuck is a drama? It's pretty much anything you, I guess, would want to call a drama. But yeah, the only other ones I felt could really kind of qualify for this one were 22 July, which I did love, and we all talked about how powerful that shit was, especially by the end of it, and how it kind of ended on a hopeful note. Where it kind of like removed your humanity from everything when you watch the opening, and then by the end of it, you're like, oh yeah, well, I feel a little better.
People are brave and capable.
And Black Klansman, I would put under drama just because of the message that it's relaying to us. I think it's a little bit too heavy to just be full blown comedy. And it's a really well made movie. It's one of Spike Lee's best for sure. Like Do the Right Thing is up there with this one for sure. Vox Lux is the other one that I might have considered, and that wasn't my top 10. But for this one, I had to go with Chazelle, baby. I had to go with Chazelle.
Oh, you did it.
I had to go with First Man, baby.
Oh, man, you were baiting and switching. You kept on saying it wasn't on your 10, but on your other 10.
Not
other 10,
the proper 10.
Yeah, exactly.
Man, you did it. You bamboozled us,
man.
That's
because this movie isn't... Like there's only so many. And then the sequences are really impressive, where it goes for the suspense of being an actual astronaut. But so much of this movie relies on the drama that happens between the characters' relationships, like specifically, Neil and his wife Janet, whatever. It's just there's a lot of stuff going on between them in their scenes, more or as much as anything going on in space. Especially when she's like wanting him to take fucking responsibility as a goddamn father, before he leaves for the moon.
Oh God, that was so hard to watch,
crazy.
Man.
It is so crazy, but that is literally like you can point out any technical visual effects scene that you want and be like, that's my favorite part of the movie. But like that dinner, like the scene at the dinner table where he's explaining to his kids what's going to happen, is probably my favorite scene in the movie. Like, from an acting level and from like a build up to that drama level, because he's still dealing with the loss of his daughter, and he has to go back and still not being able to cope with that, still has to go back to his kids and tell them the gravity of the situation at hand, where he's like, I'm probably not going to come back or whatever. Did you notice, like, I've noticed it especially in the second time, where like when he's first telling them what's going on, he's being like methodical about it and professional, like it's a real interview.
Mm-hmm.
And then when his kid asks, "So you're not going to be at my swim meet?" It's like he almost wants to fucking cry, like right there on the spot.
Right.
Because he's like, "Oh shit, this is what we're doing." You know, this isn't like an interview, like for a magazine or for the media.
Well, it's the difference between you know, an inquisitive young mind versus, you know, a skeptical adult mind, where, you know, he's trying to convince the American public of what's about to happen.
This isn't an American public that he's talking to. It's his fucking kids, you know? Like,
so he realizes, like, if Neil doesn't make it back, what that's going to mean for the country, that's one thing. But, it's going to be him missing swim meets and him missing graduation if he doesn't come back. Like, it personalizes it. Because I'd imagine you have to compartmentalize that. To go to the moon, you have to kind of put all that stuff.
They're going to the moon
for the first time ever.
It's not driving to Canada.
Yeah, well, we just want to get over that border real good, and hopefully the mission holds up.
We're just trying to have a real safe drive right over the Canadian border. You know, they're getting in a thing propelled by explosive liquid into a place no one knows anything about. You know?
And like his wife was totally justified in like kind of bringing him, you know, I'm sorry for all the like space metaphors, but bringing him back down to earth, back down to reality in terms of dude, all these people are fucking dead that you knew, like. And the movie doesn't even tip its hand, you know? Like, the movie isn't like... If you're not a history buff and you see these people die, you're fucking caught off guard. It's like Game of Thrones, you know? Like, it's like, holy shit, that guy died. Like, Jason Clarke is in the movie as his best friend. And I had no clue about the Apollo... was that 1? I think that was Apollo 1. Where they didn't even leave... they didn't even take off.
Yeah, the one that happened during the training...
Yeah, because exactly. They were doing a test for Apollo 1, and the cabin just caught fire and it exploded, you know, from the inside. So, like,
I mean, I knew about that because they mentioned it in Apollo 13. Because the kid,
I just watched the movie. I don't remember that.
Tom Hanks' son asked him, like, or you know what happened to the other astronauts? There was a fire, or whatever, and he kind of explains it. It's very early on.
There's now like an emergency. Like now we have an emergency latch so that doesn't happen to us again. Yeah, I remember that from Apollo 13.
Yeah.
Damn, but that's I got a shitty memory then. But
that's the only reason why I know.
You just hate space knowledge, Jeff.
I do. I really do.
Guy hates 2001: A Space Odyssey. Yeah, who are you?
Hate that movie big time. Especially Star Wars. Ugh.
Anything with space, I'm out.
Yeah.
I'm not going to watch this new Space Force show or Space Police show with Steve Carell.
It's going to be amazing. So, yeah, I love also the score. Justin Hurwitz, I don't want to say he outdid himself, but like I think this score is certainly like... certainly up there with like, it's better than Whiplash. Like Whiplash is just a sequence of jazz, you know, songs more or less.
Yeah.
And First Man is more like motif oriented. Like he's kind of repeating the same thing on different instruments, and then it kind of comes to a head right when they're about to land on the moon. It's a fully instrumental. It's fucking awesome, dude. Like I got full blown chills when that shit came on. Yeah. Yeah, and if he wins the Oscar for that shit, so be it. But I'm honestly, I'm rooting for If Beale Street Could Talk because that score is just
wow. Okay.
It'll make you cry on the music alone. That shit is goddamn beautiful. But yeah, First Man, that's my number 7, and that's the only time it would ever be in my top 10 list. Honestly, Vox Lux came real close, but I had to because that's legitimately like my number 10 for my other list.
And I really want to see that movie.
And I think it's just more so when it comes down to the drama of it. I think there's so much style happening in the movie that you could argue that it loses the drama, whereas the First Man never loses that human element.
Yeah.
That's where I had to kind of like debate myself into a corner with it. This was the only one where it kind of came down to that. Yeah, that's my number 7. But I love Vox Lux though. Love the shit out of it.
Yeah, Vox Lux was great.
Not for everybody, but I love it.
I mean, I thought it was fascinating.
Yeah, dude, it's super interesting. Shit, it's something that you just like when you want to talk about it, you're like, wait, I just want to go in deep thought about it again. Hold on.
Right.
It gives you a lot to chew on in the brain. Yeah. So JD, JD, what's your number 7?
That's me. I think
your name's
this
JD,
one's gonna. Yeah, that's me. Those are my letters. I think this one's gonna get pushed. Because Kyle just fell in love with this movie. It's fucking weird ass Suspiria, man.
Yeah, it's getting pushed.
Okay.
All right.
I'm playing the music. How about that score? Okay, we'll get to it. All right. So Suspiria is your number 7 because you clearly hated it. There's clearly nothing going on in that movie. Nothing to latch on to at all.
Yeah.
So Kyle, what's your number 7?
My number 7 is much like Suspiria. It is Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Okay, so not like Suspiria at all.
That's
okay,
so
good.
similar. That's great.
It's getting play
the music again. Into the Suspiria-verse.
Yeah.
Into the Suspiria-verse.
Oh my god. Well, I mean, the movie is kind of hinting at doing other shit.
It could.
In its own world. So, I mean, shit. You know, Dario Argento in the originals, he made a trilogy out of that stuff because there was a whole lore behind the Three Witches or whatever the fuck they were called. Mothers. Mother? Yeah, Mothers.
Mothers?
Yeah,
yes.
Something like Cesspoolia.
Cespria.
Diarrhea.
Cespria.
Diarrhea.
Cysteria.
So we're back to my number 6. My number 6 is comedy. And we pushed it already. It's Bodied.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, this one brought the yucks for me in the best possible fucking way. The other contenders, this is where I could bring up like Game Night. This would, you know what I mean? Like, this would not even be in anywhere in my 20, in my 30. But when you talk about comedies, the ones that make you laugh the best, like Game Night would have qualified for this one. And The Favorite surprisingly made me laugh out loud a ton in the theater. Yeah. So that was the other one I would have put in here. But Bodied was the one that was like, it was just nonstop clever, dude. Like, I mean, and when you write when you write a movie about doing like battle rapping and stuff, like you better put some clever shit in there. And my God, did they? Those digs were just next level fucking deep cuts,
especially in the end.
Oh
like,
yeah, big time.
Once it's like all hands on deck, you know.
Yeah.
God, it was good.
It's so out of hand. It's like an epic, like an epic fight at the end of an action movie or whatever, where it's like everybody's facing everybody, and it's fucking cool, man. And it's I love that it's like good guy trying to assess things from a practical level becomes the villain more or less by the end of the movie. I mean, spoilers on the movie, I guess, but it's not really trying to paint him as like this is your hero. You know, it's like no, this guy full blown like leaned into being an asshole, like because he burned all his bridges. So what else is left? You know. I love that aspect. I love the style of the movie in terms of, I think it was directed by Joseph Kahn, who's done nothing but like music videos. And
that makes sense.
And it adds up in terms of the style. But like the style reminded me of Edgar Wright and stuff in terms of like all the visual cues that would pop up and how fast paced the cuts were at some points.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, cool, we got an Edgar Wright movie. You know, like it just felt like something that Edgar Wright would do. Not the topic, but the style and visuals. Edgar Wright would not touch that topic. Well, who better to do it than
he
me?
really should.
Oh God, he does talk like that. It's fucking weird. When you hear him talk, you're like, Edgar Wright talks like that. You would think like, hello, yes, Edgar Wright here. Hey, hello, yes, Edgar Wright. I'm very excited about Baby
Driver. This is my movie. We're gonna watch it right now.
Yeah, he's Australian, borderline Australian. I do love Bodied a lot. Kyle, you had it in your 9 spot. And JD, do you have it anywhere, or do you?
I have got it firmly at number 12.
Oh, okay.
He hated it.
So clearly hated it. Garbage.
Didn't make him laugh.
Didn't make me laugh at all. And no.
Yeah, like I mentioned before, this came out of nowhere. This was like a YouTube original, whatever. I was waiting forever to see this shit because I heard about it on festivals.
How the fuck did they get this movie?
It's like a movie pass thing.
No,
what the fuck?
This is way too good for like to be entombed on a fucking YouTube product. You know?
Does this mean that Movie Pass passed on it for Gotti? Is that?
That's a good point. I forgot about
what's happening?
Fucking Gotti. That's right. Even though you just brought it up, it's like, oh yeah, that's Movie Pass too.
Yeah, of course it was. Yeah, so they're 1 for 2, I would think. I don't know if there was a third one that they put their brain on.
Who knows if they're still trying with that area, that avenue. But Kyle, what are your feelings on Bodied? It was in your 10.
This is one that y'all were talking about, like, oh yeah, it was really good. I really liked it. I was like, there's no way I'm gonna like this movie. Like I don't even know why. It's not like y'all ever steer me wrong. It's just like it's probably not going to be a movie I enjoy or whatever. I fucking loved this movie. I started going to work and telling everybody about it. And it was like, how do you watch it? I'm like, won't be able to because no one owns YouTube, movie or whatever this is streaming off of. So, it's hard to recommend to people because it is hard to get. If you get that free trial, though, make sure this is one of the first things you watch if you're watching like Cobra Kai or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Man, I really enjoy this movie. Ends up being, I think it's my favorite comedy of the year for sure. Like, absolutely. It's a movie that made me laugh the hardest. It's got that weird kid that I never thought I'd see again from American Vandal. and he kills it in this movie. Like, he's so
100%,
good.
100%.
He like carries the movie. Like he's definitely
he came
the lead actor of the movie.
He came from Disney. Like this fucking kid is like in Disney shows that nobody likes or watches.
Really?
And he transitioned well then.
Yeah, because like I watched interviews.
Like American Vandal. That's the type of things you should be going after when you're like rebranding yourself from being a Disney, tool or whatever.
And that's the questions that he got on the interview circuits. Because I wanted to see what the fuck went into this, how these people are like in real life and stuff like that, and Joseph Kahn's vision and stuff. And they would. This movie is the type of movie that you go to like hip hop radio stations to talk about. And you had all these like 3 cultured people sitting there talking a lot about the movie, and the white dude who's the lead role, the Adam in the movie, is just like quiet the entire time unless they ask him a question.
Yeah,
it's like good for you. But yeah, they would ask him like, "Hey, how did Disney feel about this and shit like that?" And he's like, "It's fine," because he had to say like the N-word in the movie. Like,
yeah,
he's like, "It's fine, it's a movie, so it's fine. It's not like they're gonna like fucking show the movie at Disney headquarters." So
right. It's not gonna be playing in the park.
We're gonna come back and hey, you owe us residuals back. You said the N-word, so we're gonna
about 7
your
times.
Earnings come back now. Yeah,
that scene in the library is, by the way, is fucking hilarious.
Oh my
like,
God, asking permission over the laptop, and there's somebody like 2 desks down.
Finally says it, and then there's a black guy sitting right behind him.
He just gets up and walks off.
It's just hilarious to me that like every time he tries to have a discussion about this openly with somebody, and they're in a public area, there's always somebody over his shoulder going, "What the fuck are you talking about, man?" And he's like, "God damn it!" Like it's just every time. I love that.
Oh, my intentions are good, I swear.
Austin and Ally was the Disney show. See, it's one of those teen shows that like nobody would watch it. Maybe like teen girls that are like 11 years old or whatever. That's what he came from, like I mean. So yeah, this dude's got like endless potential, and he's the perfect choice for that role because look at him. Look at him. You're like, no way this dude's gonna.
That guy's whiter than white bread. Like that's
exactly. It's why he's perfect.
He was just perfect for this role, which was and this movie's great, man.
Yeah,
and it tackles so many like social relevant issues, and you get really cucky social justice warrior like kids in this movie, and like. And like they're painted as like how that doesn't do any good, like white people standing up for cultural appropriation and stuff like that. Like it just how that doesn't make you look good. It's not really treated as a noble thing in this movie.
Right.
It's really good, man, and it attacks just a lot of again like social issues and conversations that we're having right now, while being very funny and having very good writing and like very good like. What do they call them? Bars,
Bars, I know what you're talking about.
All the jokes.
Man, that was a good-ass bar. It sounds weird when I say it.
Yeah, I know. All 3 of us can't really say it.
If we ever had to do that shit, we would just be like, "Your knees weak, mom, spaghetti, venom."
Yeah, venom. I'm
we would just be
up
so
in your head
terrible. God damn it. I like how we're painting Eminem as like a bad rapper now because of all those terrible songs and just the funny lines that he has, but like he is one of the better MCs out there. Like
I know,
sure. He's great, but that makes picking apart like the few little moments of ridiculousness that much better.
Right.
It does.
He made one bad song, recently, and now we're just like, I don't know. He may have made more, but
like that last not Kamikaze one before that was like really slow and just kind of like this is way too mellow, and he's not. When he's not angry, I'm bored.
That's
more or less what it is.
I angry am. I'm not here for.
Tranquility is nice. Venom. Venom. Imagine him doing Venom.
You like laying on the couch watching Netflix.
Right. I tuned in to watch Roma. Like what?
What a fucking human story. It made me feel love. Like that's not even a word, Em. Like
Jesus Christ. Oh my God. So JD, what's your number 6?
I don't even know anymore. I Love Dogs is my number 6.
Oh, nice.
Oh, good for you. Yeah.
Good for you.
Good for you. I had to take this one out of my time because I haven't really thought about it much since I watched it.
That's the only reason that it goes lower for me over time, kind of like it depreciates, kind of like Black Panther does for me, where it's kind of like, I don't really think about it that much anymore. What's going on?
I don't know why. It's a great movie. Like I remember watching it and being in my top 5 for more than half the year. But
I mean, it was in my 3 spot for the longest time. I saw it twice in theaters, so maybe that's probably.
Yeah, I watched it again recently, and I was like, "Oh, I'm an idiot for forgetting this because it's fucking. It's just
very good,
just exquisite. It's just so good to look at."
Kind of getting into everything too. I mean, I don't know how much. I think I saw like one YouTube video on kind of the making of it, the animation and everything. And it's, it's similar to Mr. Fox, of course, because it's Wes Anderson, but it just feels like it took it feels like it's 10 years removed from Fantastic Mr. Fox. Like it's in a good way. Like it's
that much better.
It's gone through that much evolution.
Yeah.
And because going back and watching Mr. Fox was like, it's still good, but you have to keep in mind, like, it's 2007.
The colors are kind of like dimmer in Fantastic Mr. Fox comparatively. Everything's just so bright and I don't know, pronounced in Isle of Dogs. Like
for sure. And I loved a lot of the little elements that they use, like if somebody's speaking in Japanese but it's not really relevant to the story, you're mostly listening to the tone of the guy. Like when the commander is leading and yelling, like it doesn't matter what he's saying, you know what he's saying based on his tone, and if it's important, there's the translator there. And there's I don't know, Wes Anderson just makes movies that when he does those stupid little cute things that might come off as pretentious to some people, or if other people were doing them, with him they always work for me. For the most part. There are a couple movies of his where I just didn't really get it, but in this one, I loved everything about it. The voice acting is incredible. Knowing that like Cranston and Liev Schreiber and
Liev Schreiber is still one I have to wrap my head around when I watch it.
Yeah, it took me like halfway through the movie to realize, because you're not going to get all the names if you look at the credits at the beginning during the trailer.
It really fast. Yeah.
There's like 80 names that are up there on the screen of people that are in this fucking movie. And it's impressive. And those the main characters were all in the same room when they did a lot of their dialogue.
Nice.
I felt like that kind of showed through, and that makes sense because Bill Murray and Jeff Goldblum, I feel, are like they can riff really well off one another. Yeah. I know Cranston has a theater pedigree, I think, so I feel like they got the best out of each other by all being in the same room.
Yeah, for sure.
And then, you
can feel it. You can feel the dynamic.
There's a bunch of peripheral parts too, like Scarlett Johansson's really good in it. Yeah. Her voice in everything is awesome. Like it's I immediately recognize it. There were just a lot of fun elements. I like the story. It was I don't know. I felt like it was a cool story for adults and kids. And in my theater, like everybody was laughing at the same stuff. It's just, I don't know, man. When I think of a Wes Anderson movie, like this is what I want.
Yeah, same here.
Do more movies like this and do them more frequently than every 10 years, if you can. Because I understand there's a process.
Yeah, he's doing a movie. It was first being touted as like, oh, it's a musical. And I'm like, holy shit, a Wes Anderson musical. That's going to be dope. And then he said, no, just kidding. It's not. So I don't know. I don't know what to expect anymore. Yeah.
Yeah.
It just sounds like it's just a Wes Anderson movie, guys. Just get excited, and we should, because his track record is really, really fucking strong.
For the most part, yeah. I mean, I think everybody. I don't know anybody that loves every Wes Anderson movie.
Might be Kyle.
But I don't. Do you like every Wes Anderson movie?
I like most of them. Yeah. The very few I don't like or I haven't seen. So
I just don't know anybody that's like, I love them all definitively. There's always like that one or two that just don't really jive with you. Yeah. And it's always different. Like it's never the same two movies.
Yeah,
like,
it is.
Your favorite could be Moonrise Kingdom. That's one of my favorites. Not everybody loves that.
I like Life Aquatic. And I know people who hate that movie.
Yeah, I don't like that movie at all.
Jeff hates that. It might be my favorite. It might be my favorite Wes Anderson movie. So it's just it's too weird for people.
Yeah.
They don't like any. It's just zany and.
Because it's just not how people talk to one another. And if you can kind of like, I don't know, with Wes, if you can accept the type of story that he's trying to tell going into it, I think you're going to receive it a little bit better. But if you're going in for normal dialogue and normal things that people do in normal situations into a Wes
everything
Anderson
is like dialed up to 11. It's eccentric and weird, and
it's like watching a Paul Thomas Anderson movie or whatever. It's like, no, don't expect any normalcy.
No, not
from
at all.
These movies.
No.
Like it's
expect the weirdest love story you've ever seen in your life, and we got that this year.
If you relate to it, you've probably been through some shit.
Yeah, exactly. Like if you watch Punch Drunk Love, I've destroyed a bathroom at high decibels before. Like, no, you haven't.
No, I haven't.
Oh God, that scene is great. I love Isle of Dogs, man. That's one of my animated movie honorable mentions for sure.
I like Isle of Dogs too.
I like dogs. Bags. I got it. Bag.
Oh, sure. I like dogs. I like caravans even more.
Jesus. Kyle. Kyle. Hey, Kyle. How you doing? What's your number 6?
A little movie called Suspiria.
Noise.
Suspiria? Suspiria. Okay.
Suspiria.
That Tom York movie. Sorry.
Okay, so can I just say, I never knew this was a remake of any movie, and all of a sudden this year, everyone's just like, yeah, man, that's my favorite horror movie of all time. I'm like, great, never heard this movie, bunch of people's favorite horror movie of all time. Speak up about shit like this.
Right.
Like, don't, like, be the person who's, like, not talking about good, like, so I imagine the original's probably pretty great if everyone likes it so much,
heard.
But I've never, ever, 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 ever heard anybody ever talk about it. Yep. Ever.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm just not like going in the right circles or talking in the right groups or whatever, but like, sorry, no one's ever brought it up. I have a lot of horror fans, and like, I know long-term friends who are like, yeah, it's my favorite movie. I was like, we grew up together, but don't fucking dog me like this. Like, you've been holding on to this movie our entire lives. Like, anyway, this is a movie that I just, when you watch the trailer, like, you don't get much out of it. Like, I'm just like, I don't know what that's about. Like,
you can't
it looks
advertise
like
shit for this trailer.
It looks like a weird like black swan with like the girl who's getting like gorilla fucked by Mr. Grey or whatever. Like, I don't. This movie, it doesn't look like it's for me. That's for sure. So this is another one of those movies that like Jeff, you were talking about. Like, oh my god, I keep on thinking about this movie. It's so great. And I'm like, is it like? Is it going to be one of those like weird movies that like, really, really capture me? Yes, it is. It's fucking weird. And it's great. People are going to hate it.
That's when it's like when you walk out of the theater and you're like, oh man, people are going to fucking hate that movie.
Gonna hate that movie. Yeah. I think I loved almost every moment of it. It is slow at the beginning, but there's always this mystery going on that I'm just like, you can't quite put your finger on what's going on until it starts getting like directly addressed, and you're like, oh, okay, yeah, all right. Is this spoiling saying these bitches are witches? But anyways, it's fine. It's a very weird movie, and the way that it's shot is really weird. Like when they start having nightmares like at night and stuff like that, and it's just like all these like really quick like imagery, like really just not fun looking imagery, just like quick kind of disturbing kind of images and stuff like that as they're dreaming at night. And then things just come like, and I thought that's how it's going to be all movie. Like, oh, okay. So like the weird's going to be like quick and it's never going to like permeate and dwell. There's a whole third act of this movie that's just like from start to finish, completely fucking insane. Like just
the
whole like without going into spoilers, the whole like Sabbath at the end where like everything is fucking happening or whatever.
Yeah,
it is like one of my favorite things in like movies all year. It is so fucking visceral and so cool looking and so, oh my god, it's so fucking rad. I loved everything about that entire part, and that doesn't even make the whole movie for me. The movie like earns that part. It's just it's cool, man. And I think y'all put me in the right mind space, because a lot of the stuff I was reading on like Wikipedia and like on YouTube, I picked up on a lot of it. So
thank goodness. Cool. Yeah, because I was like,
y'all put me
I didn't
in like
know what
a spot
to make
where
sense
I was
of.
like, I was just in the right mind. I was dissecting it, looking at it the right way. I almost had all of it. I had very little questions or very little confusion about what was going on, just because I think I was just paying so close attention. Every time I was reacting, I would pause the movie to like say something in chat, just it was something I couldn't like take my focus off of it.
Right. Yeah, seeing it in the theater makes it feel a little more unrelenting, all the stuff that it's throwing at you and your brain is trying to process it.
Yeah.
Like, much slower than the movie wants you to. So I immediately had to go home and be like, "What the fuck was that about?" Like,
right.
And then when I read up on it, I was like, "Oh, well, that's genius!" Like, I love the movie so much. It was my number 5 on the other list I have. So I had it really high too. Like, wow. I absolutely love the movie so much. I love all the themes there that they're talking about with like, especially like post-war Germany. I know that there have been tons of World War II movies, and there's probably some that have addressed this one way or another. Mm-hmm. But I love that this one kind of serves as like a larger metaphor for Germany and the entire country feeling the guilt for that they should collectively share for World War II and participating in it. Because like some people, like I think there's a scene in might be Band of Brothers where like they go to like a bakery or whatever, and he's like, "You fucking knew," or whatever. Like they're like antagonizing this guy, and they're like, "You fucking knew what was going on here," and they're like kind of like threatening to shoot him and stuff. And it's just that was like a very. So I guess some things have kind of assessed it, but this one chooses that old man to be like a representative of that. Like, he lives with this guilt, mostly over his personal guilt with his wife, but a lot of the movie does have to deal with that metaphor of like Germany dealing with its past sins, more recent sins in the time of the movie, because the movie takes place in like what, the 50s or 77. My bad.
70s.
Yeah, in the 70s.
20 years removed. I mean, it's not,
but it's still fresh. You still have the entire generation there that was there for it and participated in it.
And that's a cool choice for the remake to make it take place in the same time as the original, like around when that one was made. I like that. They didn't modernize it, so it wouldn't have felt as, like you said, historically like tied in the motives there. So
I did have to look up the style that they were shooting in. Apparently, they didn't use primary colors, and that's why everything looks the way it does.
And Suspiria, the original, is all about
it's
color.
The opposite. Yeah. It's the opposite. It's oversaturating primary colors. So like they actually took a completely opposite like route in terms of like aesthetic, you know, and it actually really worked for the movie.
It does, yeah. And the most red you get, which is the red that's very famously known for the original Suspiria, is all in the final act, and that's already kind of like a spoiler saying that, but there's a lot of fucking red.
Yeah, it's so blinding.
It consumes the entire screen. Yeah, it's incredible. I got to give a shout out to Radiohead's one of my favorite bands of all time, if not my favorite band of all time. And Tom York, this is his first time doing a musical score, and he just fucking killed it, man. He just
it was really good.
he works like in tandem with the director, obviously, because that's what composers are supposed to do. But like, it's like he knew exactly what to go for. You know, I mean, it says on Wikipedia, I'm referring to such a reliable source, that the director like just badgered him over the film, like, dude, I know you're the guy to get the tone right. And he finally caved and said yes, and thank God he did, because that music is unsettling as fuck in certain scenes, especially like Volk, and like that entire sequence is like, Jesus Christ, get me out of here now. Right. I don't like what this movie's making me feel.
Exactly.
And that's a good thing. That's what it's going for. It strives for something, and it goes for it, and it fucking nails it. That's why I love it so much. Polarizing, yes, but I wouldn't have my favorite movies any other way.
I know, exactly, right. Oh, not at this point in my everyone's life. Everyone's gonna hate. Perfect.
Yeah, exactly. Not at this point in my life. I don't want boring, safe shit. Not anymore. I used to. Like, if I pointed out my list from when Kyle and I first started podcasting, like in 2014, I think that was our first top 10. I probably had a lot of safe shit in there. Just a lot of safe. Whiplash is my number one. That's never going to change. But
yeah,
there was like some safe stuff in there, like, well, I just really liked Guardians of the Galaxy or whatever. Like, and it's not that that's like a safe movie. Don't get me wrong, but like that was a huge risk for them. But like, when you compare it to something else that I might have seen since then, like, what's the Scarlett Johansson one where she like takes off her clothes?
Under the Skin.
Under the Skin. When you compare it to that, it's like, okay, well, I should probably put that one in there over Guardians of the Galaxy, because that one fucking goes for something. You know what I mean?
Well,
like,
yeah. And those are like genuine reactions from a lot of those people.
Yeah. You know? Yeah, it's like you film real people guerrilla style, and then you're like, hey, sign this thing. Okay, cool. Like, that's it.
Yeah, right.
You know?
Hey, do you want to go back and watch Scarlett Johansson like undress in a hotel room?
Yeah.
Is it okay if we film you? Yeah. We're gonna need proof, right? Yeah.
Do you mind getting your dong out too? Don't care. Yeah, don't care.
Right. Oh, it's already out. Great. Yeah.
Shit. I love Suspiria. I love that you guys loved it too, because that could have gone either way. And it's just crazy that we're 3 for 3 with that movie.
Yeah.
It's nuts to me.
It was mesmerizing, man. Yeah, I feel sorry for my server at Alamo, because I wasn't paying attention to that fucking receipt when I was signing it and filling it out. Like, I don't know what I wrote.
Did I tip that person? I don't even know if I signed my name.
I have no fucking idea, because my eyes were just locked in. Yeah.
Dude. You tipped her JD and signed, $5. Yeah.
Right.
Oh boy. Yeah. Good shit, man. So we're betting my number 5. We're in the top 5. Woo! Made it.
Woo!
This was a push from earlier. We are in the action genre, gentlemen. So my number 5,
Roma,
is Roma. Holy shit! Wall-to-wall explosions.
Just crazy, yeah.
Just explosions.
Thank God Michael Bay stepped in.
You know how that guy shot that? I don't know. Like, this is his. The guy who did Roma, just known for action movies. So
yeah, clearly,
it's glad that he could use all of his knowledge to bring it into that one.
Right,
the culmination of his career.
All those explosions. Michael Bay was like a special effects consultant, so that's good. Mission Impossible Fallout is my number 5. That movie, holy shit! I just watched it again yesterday, and I'm like, hey, you guys, hey, they really did this shit. That's fucking crazy. So I mean, that alone, so many points. But the fact that the story never lets up, sure, the stories of these movies are similar in a lot of respects. Like, we're looking for a biological weapon or
a
nuke or that's it. We're looking for a thing. We need a MacGuffin. That's the thing that the movie's about. And yeah, this one had more of like a spy, a duplicitous spy element in terms of like spoilers, I guess, but like Henry Cavill's character and stuff like revolved around his story. Because I mean, really, that's like 20 minutes in the movie they tell you who he is. So
right.
Like it kind of tips his hand when he's like, this phone is totally from the bathroom and it's totally fine. It's kind of like, oh, he's a fucking dick. So they kind of show that early on. But yeah, I love all of the set pieces in this and the reason for it happening too. Like you have to add the weight to the set pieces or else it's just like, what are we doing? You know what I mean? I loved like the what was that, like a single take thing where they jumped out of the plane? It felt like a single take thing. They just did not stop.
Yeah.
Seeing it on my 4K screen and that IMAX aspect ratio is like just goddamn mind blowing. I could not believe it how they pulled that off. I know that they probably like whatever they do with CG and shit, put in some clouds because I think the clouds look a little fake. A little bit.
Well, yeah, you'd have to have some.
Yeah,
like
I'm pretty sure they did it during the day, if I'm not mistaken.
Real clouds.
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, like just for insurance reasons, like you've got to go out. Deadpool.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Insurance reasons, you're going to go out when it's bright and early and there's no wind.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
Obviously,
When you're multi-million-dollar man who controls this franchise, like behind the scenes, is jumping out of a plane. You want clear skies. Xenu needs to guide his man with full sight and vision down to the ground. He needs that clarity.
Yeah, I love that sequence. That was that'll make your butthole clench. And
and then the comedy at the end when like Cavill's just like, "Whoa, you look like you get a tough, a tough jump or whatever."
Yeah, no,
like,
he goes,
"You're passed out the entire time."
Yeah, he was like, "Hey, where's your oxygen tank?"
Yeah, because he pulled it.
Tom Cruise gave it to him in midair, so he could fucking live.
Like, well, and Cavill doesn't Cavill disconnect Tom Cruise's so he gets the jump?
Well, they both leave with theirs, but Cavill lost his because he got struck by lightning or something.
No. Yeah. But before they jump off, I thought Cavill like trolls him or something. He like unplugs it or some shit so that he gets the jump ahead.
Tom Cruise has to scramble to plug it back in.
That's right.
But yeah, he does ultimately in the midair have to change the tank between them because Cavill lost his during the storm, the lightning cloud. Yeah, that entire sequence is fucking great. And then it goes right into the fucking club and does the bathroom sequence, which is incredible. I don't know who that Asian actor is, but he's incredible. Just put him in more movies. I don't care what he's doing. Make him like a bad guy or hero. I don't give a shit. He is such a fluid fighter. It's just incredible what he was doing. It's like wall to wall. It never stops because then they go from there to infiltrate and pretend to be John Lark to meet the hot blonde lady. And then there's like a whole sequence there where they have to escape the club, and everybody's kind of helping Ethan along the way, escort her out, and then they have to, break out Fuckface from the fifth movie. Like it turns into like a. Nuts? And I love that whole the hypothetical that they showed too, where like Tom Cruise or Ethan Hunt, whatever, same person, had to more or less he's doing the real shit, so it's the same person. Hey, same purse. So he had to more or less like. Hypothetical in his mind play out him shooting cops and stuff and to break out what's his face, the villain guy I can't remember the name of at the moment. And I love that. I loved adding like stakes and gravity to his choice, in terms of, and then to see it play out totally different where like you expect him to, he's supposed to pull out in front of the road and stop the convoy or whatever, and instead he just rams the fucking truck and the dudes in the back are flipping out like, oh, it's just fucking great, dude. Like the movie doesn't stop. It's like the best pacing I've seen in a 2.5 hour movie aside from, Avengers Infinity War this year. Last year. It just doesn't stop, dude. And the story never stops being good. I did like the tie-in too with his ex-wife. That was a really like great in terms of I don't know, reveals. That was like a great moment where like it felt heavy, like the air just kind of like left the room. Yeah. When you hear Ethan's name and he's like turning around and he says Julia and everybody hears it on the earpiece and they turn around too. That's just a great moment in storytelling. Yeah. Everybody felt the fucking the air change in the fucking room. They're not in a room, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It's great shit. Henry Cavill. You still kind of wooden with your acting, buddy, but
yeah, did good here.
Yeah, did good with the physical shit.
He's finding like his like. I think he's finding his place, and he was never going to do that playing Superman. So
I agree with that, and I loved the part where Tom Cruise takes over a helicopter, which he's again doing himself,
which he learned for this movie.
in Arlington, Texas, by the way.
Oh my God! Holy shit!
He did that right down.
How long do I've got? I'll learn it in half the time.
I love that he's talking to himself because that's what you would do if you're for real trying to figure out how to fly a helicopter. And when he goes up to drop the payload on the chopper and just misses it, and fuckface is like, "Hey, go up there and see what's going on," and then he looks at him with like this annoyed expression, like fucking Ethan again.
Yeah.
And Tom Cruise goes, "Yeah, that's right, fucking prick," and it's just like this great action movie moment, and then he pulls out this giant ass gun, and Tom Cruise is like, "Oh shit."
Yeah, and I like that, like the whole like he's shooting outside the back of a fucking helicopter at another helicopter. It's just like, this is insane.
Yeah,
and then they crash and have like a fucking huge fist fight. Yeah, it's
in the helicopters as they're falling, they're fighting each other. It's like this is ridiculous. I love it. That's why you watch.
Oh
these.
My God,
it's ridiculous in a way
more
that
of these.
I know in a row.
Years.
Yeah, and I just love that these are ridiculous in a way where it doesn't like feel like I don't know. It feels like because of everything we've already seen Ethan do, that it feels like he could do this.
Yeah.
Whereas Fast and Furious gets ridiculous, and you're like, okay, come on, with the submarine breaching the surface and the fucking bullshit.
Like Uncharted in that way, where like Nathan Drake is always finding himself in like those like situations where he's like, oh, we're fighting in a building while it's collapsing, but we're still all in here, and like like it's it probably could happen. Normal person would die, but I get we're watching an action movie, so I'll like suspend my disbelief a little bit here. And like that's what you're getting with like fist fighting and a tumbling helicopter down a hill, and like it just you're getting moments like that. And I really like that type of action. Like this is like one of the best action movies to come out in a while.
Yeah. I agree.
Pure like I'm talking pure-blooded action, not like something like Night Comes for Us or something like that. Like
Night Comes for Us is a very different. Like it's obviously a stylized action because it's martial arts.
It's a martial arts movie.
Mission Impossible is like set pieces, like Mad Max Fury Road was.
Yep,
and
absolutely.
It's I don't want to say it's as unrelenting because Mad Max does a lot of driving around, like in terms of people chasing them and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And then there's like a fight scene where they stop, or there's like a scene where they finally bring it back down and they add some heart to the characters and stuff. But like in terms of Mission Impossible, it's like, I don't know, man. When they don't do set pieces, they're explaining what the fuck the next move is and why they're doing it.
What the next set piece is going to be.
Well, we have to go to this highest building ever. And,
right. What are we going to do? We're going to scale down the back of it. And, there's probably going to be helicopters, and we're going to.
Man, I've never seen Tom Cruise runs his ass off in this movie. Like,
oh my God, there's like a 6.5 minute, which is not true, scene where he's running across like a bridge.
It's crazy how long he runs.
They cut like 7 different angles of it, and I'm like, he really ran across that whole fucking bridge, and they videotaped it. Yeah. And I wanted to be there for that day of that shoot where he's just like, okay, I'm going to run the whole thing. They're like, he wants to shoot the whole thing? He's like, yeah, just shoot the whole thing because we're going to do it from different angles.
Yeah.
And you're going to get me running a whole lot,
Yeah, he calls the shots when it comes to that. I think in Mission Impossible 3 was like the longest run take at a single setting because it doesn't cut, and he's just running through this. I think it's Shanghai or something. He's just running and running and running, and it feels like Abrams is like in a fucking helicopter because this dude is flying. This dude is like just running straight line down the entire fucking neighborhood. You got to watch that scene again. It's crazy. It doesn't cut.
Yeah, no, I know what you're talking
about.
But this one has more like, in terms of like, he's like, kind of platform a lot, kind of like you do in Uncharted. I'm climbing up this. I got to jump out a window.
Yeah, right.
Oh, sorry. Had you in 2D. Yeah, I love that. It's good shit. So JD, you had it at 9, so you clearly didn't get offered anything.
Hated it. You know, I mean, my list is wrong, and didn't get enjoyment from it at all. We saw this one. We saw this one together, didn't we?
Yes.
At Alamo.
I think I leaned over to you. It might have been during the airplane shit, and I was like, "This is fucking awesome."
Fucking awesome. Yeah. No, I remember that.
Like it wasn't even before the second act. It wasn't even in the second act yet, and I was like, "This is fucking awesome."
Oh, that's right, because Andrew came and saw this one with us, and we stood outside and talked about it for like a good 30 minutes or so.
Yeah, we couldn't.
Which
couldn't believe how good it was.
I find that weird with action movies when you can actually sit there and like talk about it and gush about it right away.
Yeah, because usually it's just like, hey, I liked it. Cool, bye.
Yeah, there's like those 1 or 2 things like, hey, how about that moment? How about that moment? No, there's like legitimately 25 different good moments to talk about in this movie. And it deserves a top 10 spot for one reason and one reason alone. And that's because it is responsible for Justice League.
Yeah.
In large part.
Yeah.
And we wouldn't talk as much shit about Justice League if it wasn't for this.
Believed in more. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I like the piling on to Joss Whedon recently, where they're like, Zack Snyder helped director of Aquaman unbroify Aquabro.
Did he
and I'm
know?
like, I have no idea. I have no idea how true this is. It's just like this is the news I keep seeing online. I'm like, we're still piling on Joss all these this is all still his fault, really?
Yeah, really.
We're doing this.
We're doing this right now.
I was like, this guy took up a burning wreckage of a movie and did the best with what he could with it.
Yeah, and even then the studio was like kind of like, okay, just do your thing, Joss. And then when he did his thing, they were like, don't do that. Like they still like
go
made him do
reshoot
bullshit.
Do it again, but don't do it that way.
Yeah, I love that they went to Paramount. Can you please have him trim his mustache? Please have him shave it off. And they're like, no, our movie's actually good.
Yeah, right. No, we're not gonna compromise our fucking look because your movie is a fucking train wreck.
And he didn't contribute anything at all to his character other than, hey, he looks like a badass. It's just
he looked really good in that mustache.
Yeah.
And it ended up being a moot point anyway because during that filming, when Tom broke his ankle, the time off coincided with those Justice League reshoots.
Yeah.
So
they didn't take that long off though, because I mean they jumped. It felt like they jumped right in after that. Like it was like a week or so. It was like Jesus Christ, this guy's superhuman.
Yeah, he's
and they
insane.
kept it in the movie anyway because I mean obviously they're not going to redo it. Like hey, just jump it again, Tom.
It's not even like a great mustache either. He just looks good with it. It's just a good look for him.
Exactly.
It's not like we're not talking like Paul Rudd's mustache in that awful fucking movie Mute.
Oh, the best part of that movie.
Oh my God, that fucking movie.
What a goddamn legendary mustache, though.
Yeah, great mustache.
What a waste.
He grew it for the wrong role. That's for sure.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah.
Maybe he'll get
a pedophile apologist. Surely I should grow a giant mustache.
Yeah, right.
That movie's a fucking mess. Biggest disappointment of the year.
Mission
Impossible Fallout. The biggest disappointment. No, I'm just kidding. JD, what's your number 5?
Doesn't matter. It's getting pushed. It's Mandy.
Yeah, what's wrong with you?
Yeah, I know.
Oh, is it? Oh, it's getting pushed? Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's hard. Hard to push.
Let me play the synth version of that song. Jesus Christ. Kyle, what's number 5?
My number 5 is Blind Spotting.
Push.
Push.
So
nice. Not for me, for JD. I don't have an. Obviously, I already mentioned Indie is where I would have put it. I didn't pick it. So my number 4 is in the category of animated. I wonder which one I'm going to pick. Oh my God, I already pushed it. Spider-Verse into the Spider-Man.
We synced up.
We synced up?
Yeah. It's my number 4.
Sunk up.
We sunk.
Wait, hold on.
Is that?
Yeah. We sunk.
Is that the past tense?
We sunk
it.
We sunked it. We sunk it.
No, it's synced. It works for both. Yeah, it works. It goes both ways. It's gender fluid.
Hey man, we sanked. We sank, man. I feel really good about this.
It ain't the Titanic, bro. It ain't sank.
The only other ones that I thought about doing for animated were Isle of Dogs, which you already mentioned and talked about, and I love that movie. Incredibles 2 was like the easiest one to put in this category. Like I was like, oh my God, that movie is amazing. Oh my God. And then I saw Spider-Man and I was like, never mind. Incredibles can suck a dick now. I still love Incredibles 2, but like comparatively, it's just like this movie is it's just so fucking special and unique.
It's the most fun I had at the movies all year.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Number 7 most fun movie.
Just like it's not the best. It's just the most fun. You know,
I know what you mean. No, I do know what you mean because I agree. Because everything else up, my top 3 are all fucking dour movies that make you think. Like it's just depressing shit from here for me.
Oh yeah, my number 3 is a really depressing movie. So,
so it's like 3 in a row of like spotlight heavy shit. Spotlight. Sorry. Anyway, Spider-Man and the Spider-Verse. I feel like it does so many things really well. Like it's not just an animated movie like that a family can enjoy together, but it's a great comedy. Like I laughed super hard in the theater when I watched this, especially like for all the inside jokes that they were doing at previous Spider-Man expense or whatever. And the post-credit scene was just like one of the most genius things I've ever seen in my life on a post-credit scene.
Absolutely.
Especially because that's building up to something else like they could do in a sequel if they wanted to. I hope they do. Jesus Christ, please do it. I mean, You made enough money. You made a profit.
It's just the story, like we just continue with Miles Morales because they get just such a good job doing his origin story in this movie that like it could just be about him and like Gwen like going on like Spider-Verse adventure together.
Yeah. Now I was gonna say this actually succeeds as well on an action level. Like the action is, I mean, it's animated action, so it's kind of like in terms of on par with Incredibles 2, where they're doing like really clever shit together and drawing it in a unique way. But there's an action moment in the movie where like Miles is like finally like kind of embracing his identity as Spider-Man and getting that confidence. And he's flying around in this suit for the first time. It's like that Iron Man moment where he goes to fucking fly over to that whatever country that was and just wreck shit. You know what I mean? Like it's that fucking great superhero moment that we love out of the best ones, more or less. Yeah, this is up there, man, with some of the best superhero movies I've ever seen. I think it's in my 10 for comic book superhero movies. Legitimately.
It should be.
Yeah.
I mean, and the final act is like bonkers.
Yeah.
Like it's just like, man, it's so crazy. It's so visually insane, and there's so much cool shit going on. And man, I fucking love that part like so much. And I agree. Yeah, I think it's one of the funnier movies of the year as well. You have such a good tie with it. Such a great voice cast.
The voice cast is perfect.
Oh my god,
like,
it's so good.
On paper, you're like, whoa, that kind of doesn't add up like at all. Like you have Paperboy being his dad, and the kid's not even that young, and I'm like, they're not that different, but like when the way that it plays on screen is just totally different. Like the dynamic is there. Yeah, it looks good. And Mahershala Ali playing what a busy dude. Mahershala Ali playing the uncle, which was gave me because I knew but I didn't know. I didn't know what his character looked like. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to avoid the spoilers here, but I didn't know what his character looked like. The Mahershala Ali's character, the uncle.
Yeah.
In his, get up. Yeah. So that was a shock to me. Like I knew who his uncle was in the comics, but I didn't know what the outfit was going to be. So like
me too.
That threw me for a fucking loop. And I love the theme that they gave him too. Made him creepy and like a horror villain. Like that's the thing. This movie's pushing horror buttons too. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. I love that shit. I love that dynamic, and it gave him every Spider-Man origin. The uncle has to die or something. So think about that, everybody. Just kind of spoiled it, but think about it.
Just think about it. Yeah. Doesn't say anything.
I love that he has both his parents in this. That's a very different Spider-Man story. Everything's just like different enough to where you're like, okay, I love it.
And when everyone's retelling their origins, I get a kick out of that.
Same here, especially because like they tell,
comic,
yeah, dude. My stories, and especially like noir, Spider Noir, Nicolas Cage.
Nick Cage. Yeah, big year this year.
Yeah, big year for him with Mandy in this one, and he was in. I think he did Teen Titans too.
Oh,
I think he was the villain in Teen Titans, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, which is a very funny movie. I recommend that over whatever other DC movies you can think of from this year. So, true story. It's actually good. This movie's great. I don't want to. Yeah, I'm just wasting my time now. You guys talk about it more. I keep having thoughts and they escape me. So I'm sorry.
I mean, I think what separated it from Incredibles for me was like we've touched on it, just the unique art style. Like the Incredibles was good because it picked up right where the other one left off. The art style blended seamlessly, but it was an improvement. Mm-hmm. But this is something that we've never seen before.
I agree. And
it just, it felt so much like a true comic book come to life type of thing. And, like you said, Kyle, like it was the most fun you had in a theater all year. I mean, I was surrounded by people that shared that sentiment, like completely. Same. I was one of those people, like it was a experience where, kids who do not know all these things about Spider-Man and his lore and all the various iterations of him, you get everything that you need from this movie. Like it does not require anything other than knowing that Spider-Man exists, and that's it.
Yeah.
And it works on that surface level for kids, and there's so much there for hardcore Spidey fans, which I don't really consider myself a hardcore Spider-Man fan. I mean, you guys are way more knowledgeable about. I didn't know about
but I'm not even a hardcore Spider-Man fan either. I probably knew a little more about the stuff, but like, so it had worked on us on that level as well as not being like huge Spider. So you don't need to come in with like all the comic book knowledge and stuff like that.
No, not
like,
at all.
Yeah, I just had the movie knowledge.
I didn't even know who like the anime girl was. Like I was like, is she real?
Yeah,
is that a real comic book? And
yeah, I had no idea about that. That was hilarious.
Fucking bizarre.
Peter Porker was great. John Mulaney.
John Mulaney.
John Mulaney is perfect for that.
That's all, folks. Can we legally say that?
Yeah, it was a riot, man. I mean, this one, walking out of the theater, it's like, oh well, where in my top 10 is that going? And you know,
it was immediate. How am I going to justify Isle of Dogs above this movie? Oh well, I can't. Guess I got to move that one down a little bit. Like, you know, and I had Isle of Dogs at like 5 stars all year long, and finally I was just like, yeah, I guess there's something to the fact that I don't really think about it every day. I mean, I'm not gonna I didn't hold it against it as hard as y'all two did, but I resent it now. Now I hate it.
Yeah, clearly, I mean, you guys are just part of the cat army.
Once you're off the list, you're dead to me.
You're dead. You're dead. How can it be in your list?
On a list if you're dead? You're dead.
God damn it!
Ignorance is bliss.
Oh man, yeah, I love Penny Parker too. I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah,
I love that her animation style was her own, but it still fit.
Yeah.
Despite, I mean, yeah, I just love that it lived up to being a multiverse movie.
And Noir Spider-Man, who's all black
style,
and white, being like obsessed with the Rubik's Cube is my favorite. Oh
my god, it's so good.
I'm taking this thing. I will figure it out.
Now that I'm looking at it on Letterboxd, you know what it is? There's something I didn't notice before. There's dots everywhere, so it's literally like a fucking comic book. I didn't even notice that when it was in motion. It was just looking at this picture of it right now. There's dots everywhere. So like that just blows my fucking mind.
I love when he gets bit. Well, first off, when he gets bit, he just kind of like hits the spider and it's no big deal.
Whatever.
But then he recognizes that his thoughts are progressing faster and they're getting thought bubbles now, like in the comics. So he's like, man, I'm thinking a lot faster now. What's going on? And you can see it in like certain, yellow bars or whatever, yellow boxes, kind of like they do in the comics. I'm like, that's genius. That's just fucking like little things like that. I just adored from that movie.
Super stylized.
Yeah, I loved it. And people were kind of like bitching about, how it felt like it was 3D, but without glasses on sometimes. And I'm like, I only noticed that whenever it was the universe that Miles was in was kind of breaking and collapsing. Mm-hmm. So I only noticed the animation get funky when they did that because that was a choice. That was to emphasize that the world is getting fucked up.
Right.
And it's not the way it should be. Yeah. I love the movie, man.
And Kingpin looks ridiculous in this movie.
Oh, he does. He looks comic book accurate.
Ridiculous.
Yeah. Liev Schreiber again.
Yeah, but like you want the grounded approach in a thing like Daredevil. You want him to look like a normal guy that's just huge and imposing. But yeah, when it's a cartoon, you want him to be like hyperbolic.
Show me why you're a cartoon. Yeah,
absolutely.
Exactly.
Right.
It's kind of like Green Goblin being an actual goblin, a giant goblin. I'm like, that's cool. Why it's animated. There you go. Boom.
Yeah. Exactly.
Right. Can't do that in live action.
Does this kid know that pigs can talk? I don't want to freak him out.
Dude, Mulaney is so good.
So good.
Oh, it's great.
I love that. Oh, man. Anyway, so that was my number 4 and JD's number 4. So, Kyle, what's number 4?
Is maybe going to get pushed. It's Hereditary.
It's a bird for me. It's Hereditary. That's a pushing that. Sorry.
Turdy.
It's never going to get old. We did this most anticipated of 2018. That's when we first said Hereditary. And we're still doing it. We're still going.
It was You didn't even know what I was saying. You're
I was like, what are you talking about? And then I lost it when I figured out what you were saying. Oh my god. Holy shit. So my number 3 then. We're in 5-star categories for me. We're in perfect movies, but in terms of like the best movies that I feel like these movies pulled off what they intended to pull off the best. I gave my top 3 5 stars. And this one is a category of documentary. For once in my life, I put a documentary in my top 10 list.
Of this.
And I went with 3 Identical Strangers for my documentary.
Good for you.
Good for you.
No, I mean, I didn't put it in my 10.
Oh, man.
I don't know.
Right.
I can't. blend fiction and nonfiction. Like,
I know what you mean. There's still, there's clearly still like a lot of work. It is a different gauge that you have to judge it on, but like, there's still a lot of work that goes into making the movie itself.
Oh, sure. Like from a technical standpoint, and the story, like as Kyle just experienced, the
heavy editing. That's
the way that it unfolds is just fucking astounding. And you're left. You've already gone through like 5 or 6 twists, and you're at that point where you're like, "There's no fucking way it gets weirder than this. This movie's only an hour long." Weird. You know, I'm going to be getting out of here, going home soon, because there's no way this movie goes on anymore. And it goes on for another hour and 15.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's fucking incredible, man. That movie is mind-blowing.
Yeah. When they reveal what happens to one of the triplets, I'm kind of like, oh, man, roll credits. That's really sad. Roll credits, roll credits, please. Oh, that's really sad. Roll credits. And they don't. They fucking keep going down this deep-ass rabbit hole.
It gets weirder.
It gets so insane. It makes me question. It gets so super for a documentary that's like about the plight of these 3 triplets specifically. It makes me it makes me existential about myself. Like it.
Yeah, right. Absolutely.
I was like, oh, is free will a thing anymore? What's going on? That's how I was leaving the theater. It's crazy. It's like a real life sci-fi thing to explore. That's why I love this movie so much. It was just
very heady concepts. Yeah,
exactly.
Did I choose to see this movie, or did it choose for me to see it? I don't know what the fuck is happening.
I don't even know what happened anymore.
Did the ticket buy me? I don't know what's going on.
Seriously. How expensive was I? Fuck, I don't know. I don't get it.
Oh man, and it's crazy because the director talks about how this is the same director who did. No. I'm thinking of a different director. I'm sorry. I was about to name drop the director of Won't You Be My Neighbor, which was another one I was thinking about for this category, but
rightfully so.
Okay, so one of these directors did 2 documentaries in 2018. Okay, it wasn't this one. It was a director of Won't You Be My Neighbor did the They'll Love Me When I'm Dead. He did that one too.
Oh.
And that's just how the fuck do you do that? Like how the fuck do you do
That's the Orson Welles one?
Yeah, that's the Orson Welles one on Netflix, which is incredible. It's incredible to watch, like, and to see how self-destructive that man was regarding his work and his own personality.
Right.
Super fascinating. How do you do a documentary on Orson Welles and Mr. Rogers in the same fucking year? That's crazy to me.
Yeah, 2 totally different subject matters.
So different, yeah.
Both givers to humanity in their own way. You know, but one of them I think was like destroying himself in the process. Yeah.
Almost no dark side. But 3 Identical Strangers though. Sorry to sidetrack, but the mystery obviously was there from the beginning. We all kind of knew from the trailer, like, hey, these guys are triplets, and they just found out for the first time. And I love the way that they did the back of the head kind of thing, like American Animal. You kind of expect American Animals to do, where it's like the reenactments are like you don't see their face or whatever, which is fine. It's fine, you know.
They're actually narrating over the series.
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, you don't have any footage from them meeting each other, so why would you expect?
And you can't expect them to get A-list actors.
What you got to do,
right? Yeah. So it's just like it was like working. It was like working its magic, doing its thing, telling you, hey, here's how these guys met. And then when it goes through the conspiracy, I think I wanted to sit there in a puddle after the movie because my brain got broke real good.
Well, we walked out of the theater.
I got real depressed real quick, you know.
Yeah.
Just like the total lack of humanity going on, and just like thinking about like
in the
all
name
the
of
other
quote
things.
unquote science in like
exactly.
Yeah.
And it just like it becomes this like who the fuck are we as humans? Like, it's not, but it starts so feel goody. Like, oh my god, like, can you imagine if you just woke up one day and you had a twin? And at first you're like, yeah, and then you're like, wait, what are the ramifications of that? How do you not know you have a twin or a triplet, you know?
Right.
And then it starts going into that, and you're like, well, oh no, like, this is an onion that's unraveling in like almost creepy Orwellian ways, you know? Like it's very, I don't know. It's very weird. It doesn't go in places that you think you're gonna go. And I even watched the trailer, and like it does give like way to like some kind of conspiracy going on. And, like, I don't know if it, like, there is a way big conspiracy going on here. You know what I mean? It doesn't, like, once you get into it, you realize this is not just a, like, feel-good story about some twins meeting, you know? Like, there's, because like you said, like, like, there's an hour and 15 minutes after, like, all this, like, kind of weird, like, oh, this is all kind of strange or whatever. And then it's like, oh, yeah, we're going to explain to you why it's so fucking strange. You're like, no, stop it.
Please stop telling me things. And I think sources that aren't creepy.
The worst part about it is that you still don't really have any answers for, like, directly. for why this was done in this way, who allowed it. You don't get any nice little bow tie on the end of, and these people were held accountable for their actions. No, they're fucking dead. There's one person. How can you be held accountable if you're dead?
Yeah.
There's one person that's interviewed that was directly involved, or really two. One of them.
It was the guy that would pay them visits when they were younger, and then the assistant to the actual head doctor that led.
And the
research.
assistant, man, I don't know what it was about her.
Dude.
It's the shit-eating grin and the way she's like, well, you know that science is going to view us just one of two ways. Some people will say, oh, should we tell them that there's twins and that they're out there? And yes, they should know. And it's just the way that she approached it with her complete lack of empathy for just the human condition.
Yeah, she put the science first over just the subject, obviously.
And, on some level, and I think we all somewhat agree on this, like, I appreciate the ambition of science, like, in general. Like, I just appreciate everything about science pushing boundaries, but man, this just seems like
we go about it in the wrong way.
Yeah, this was the right idea, wrong approach. Definitely.
Yeah. Right. And we don't have any answers. Like, if the goal was to study nature versus nurture and get a definitive answer, it seemed based on the assistant that they wanted to answer the question of nature versus nurture. You didn't get that answer because it's both. We already have the answer. We have years and years and years of things to prove, granted without like a control like twins, but of course you are a product of your genetics, but you're also a product of what happens to you and how you react to things and the environment with which you react to things. Like everything is an ingredient. So, what are we really trying to prove here? We're just trying to get specific with what we already kind of know.
And it just seems why do we need to be why does it need to be that specific?
Yeah,
and they get real specific with their controls that they use.
Oh my god! Yeah. Like that just blew my mind when they revealed the family dynamic. Like, not only is it a sister that's the same age, but it's a sister that was placed there by the same thing, by the same company. And like, I guess, sorry for spoilers, but you should have seen this movie by now if you've gotten this far into our.
You really should have, because there's after the first 20 minutes, like you were saying, it's how do you not talk about past the first 20 minutes?
Yeah.
That's fucking crazy. Yeah, and I loved the reveals, the way that they framed the reveals of like, this guy, one of the fathers went out and forgot his coat, went back to grab it, and saw all of them being shitheads and toasting each other. Yay, we didn't get found out and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like, Jesus Christ, dude! Like,
and then
no
the
decorum,
lawyers
like,
dropping them, like they were really enthusiastic to pursue like legal action. They're like, actually, we have other associates that are tied up in this, and we can't help you with this. And it's just like, what the fuck's going on here?
Right?
Yeah. What the fuck's going on here?
Yeah. What's exactly happening right now?
I like how David calls him. He's like, "Hey, I was one of the subjects of one of these tests. You think you could maybe fucking tell me something?" They're like, "No. Can you send me an email?" He's like, "Oh, okay, I get it. Yeah, I'm not getting anything from you."
Yeah, not getting anything. Oh, that's not my department. Was always like the shit he was being fed, and it's like, okay, well,
now
somebody's
I'm with you.
department.
Now I'm talking to you. Yeah.
God, man.
So
I could not imagine. And then knowing like that all of this strain within their relationship as twins and everything took place over, I'm guessing like what, a 15-year, 10-year period. They got married and had kids.
Yeah.
Most of them.
I think all of them did. Yeah.
So they met at the age of 18, 19 or so, and then probably by the age of 40, everything had gone to shit.
Yeah.
Because it sounded like David and Bobby had not even been in the same room with one another.
I think that was like
for
the first time
a very long time, because they didn't make eye contact at all. Like, they sit down, they both look at the camera, and then they look at each other, and you're like, God, man, like, I couldn't imagine.
The director said, I don't know,
so detached.
Was it in the movie that they didn't talk to each other before that, and they still wore like the same shoes?
Oh, really?
Oh my God!
That wasn't in the movie, was it? Because I think the director said that in an interview.
That wasn't in the documentary.
I don't think he pointed.
Yeah, the director was like, these guys hadn't talked to each other for a while, and when they met on the set, they were wearing like the same exact fucking shoes.
Of course they were.
Of course they were, right? Yeah, exactly.
Of course. Right,
yeah. The movie is just, and I'm like, stop breaking my brain more.
Right. Yeah, right. I have free will. I choose who I am.
I can choose to do things.
I think the twin.
Because I say on me.
I think the twin thing is real, man. I think there is a cerebral connection that exists that is undefinable. It's unquantifiable, Murph. It transcends everything.
It's like nonsensical. It's
recursive. Did you just call my life's work nonsense?
You share so much probably when you're in the womb that we just.
Oh yeah. I mean, you are comprised of the same like primordial goop.
Yeah.
You know, you're in the same.
You touch
oven.
each other's wieners a little bit too. So
a little bit.
Yeah, there's some stuff going on in there.
So it makes you kind of gay too.
Yeah.
A little bit gay.
You have a better chance of being gay when you're twin.
If you're touching another identical dick, it's really just masturbation. So
yeah,
really make you gay.
It's your wiener on another human being.
Definitely makes it incestual. That's at the very least.
Yeah, that's for sure.
That's probably true.
That is accurate.
Well, actually.
So that's my number 3, and I'm glad I brought it up because, that documentary can definitely inspire some discussion for sure. So, JD, what's your number 3?
I put Blind Spotting at number 3, man.
Oh, yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah. This movie, I sat in the parking lot and texted you about this movie for an hour because I couldn't drive home.
That's funny. I remember
seriously.
that. Yeah.
Cause I'm like, I don't want to stop talking about this. Like, I just got to get this shit out. This was Shakespeare on the big screen. Like, this was something super special. And I guess kind of leading up to it, the first time I saw the trailer, I was like, oh God, another pandering movie that's pandering about race and blah, blah, blah. And dude, I was so off base. Like, so off base.
No, it's not there's an example of that other than Green Book.
No, there's the one that let's see.
I feel like The Hate U Give did it a little bit, and that was like a praised one big time. But I feel like that was kind of dumbed down racial discussions.
Yeah,
for people that like don't quote unquote can't get it or don't get it. Whereas Blind Spotting, I feel like handled it more complex and stuff. This was my number 4 on my other list.
Good.
Yeah, I like this one.
Had a high. Yeah, we all had a high.
Kyle hated it.
Yep. Of course, yeah. I always have like any cultural, like relevant movie, like under you guys. So
obviously.
like that really
can't help but
where
notice
we are on the totem pole of racism. That's where where you can.
Whoa, hey, totem pole is offensive to Native Americans.
Oh, come on! Are you kidding me?
Look,
say obelisk, the obelisk of.
Yeah.
Look, I'm just saying, none of us had Black Panther in our top 10. That says something. We're really racist.
Nope. And
you guys cucked it up on your Marvel list, but not for your end of the year list. Huh?
Oops. Sorry. Yeah, sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off, JD. Blind Spotting. It's a fucking tremendous movie.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, it just I love movies that challenge you and that make you reevaluate things that maybe you're not exposed to in your little bubble, or I guess in this case, my little bubble of Plano. It had enough surreal elements too, not quite like Sorry to Bother You, not that level of surrealism.
Yeah, that was just way too out there sometimes.
Yeah, that was and especially towards the end. But this one just felt like very much like this could be Oakland in 5 years, or it could have been Oakland 5 years ago. Like, it just felt not too far off from reality. I love the jokes that they actually show in the trailer, like the Uber joke, landed so hard with me in the movie theater. I don't know why. That shit cracks me up. Like, he's like, hold on a second, I got an Uber. This is a fucking Uber? Hell yeah! Like,
and that was before he said that. They were like talking, like pointing guns at each other and shit. And
right. You mean? Oh wait, that's later when he's like, you mean this gun? Like, that scene was funny too. But yeah, when there's like 8 different guns in the Uber car with this dude. Like,
yeah,
I don't know, man. It just had a lot of funny elements to it. But by the time it gets real, I thought the two of them were best friends for real, and that's because they are.
Yeah, they are. Yeah,
are they really?
Legit. Yeah, they wrote this together. This is their baby.
That bleeds through so much in the movie.
This was their for.
I just thought they were acting their asses off.
This was their Good Will Hunting, man. This has been in development for like 8 or 9 years, I think, leading up to release.
Yeah, this is Raphael
this was their baby.
Casals. That's the white
David
dude.
Diggs
the
and
white
Raphael
dude. Raphael is this is his first movie. Yeah. So I mean, like, this is like a big deal for all of them. Those two specifically, because they wrote it, their baby. They brought in somebody to direct it that really hadn't really done much before, I think. Looking at their name, I don't remember who they are.
Probably makes it easier for you to get what you want creatively as a writer, if you get a no-name director that's not going to throw his clout around,
We want it intact,
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good call out, comparing it to Good Will Hunting, because it is, for them, as personal a story as well.
Sure. I mean, that was the vibe.
Oakland is their Boston,
Yeah, sure. Absolutely.
I mean, it just seems like it's a very true representation of culture at that time. So we'll be able to go back and, amongst the other things that we'll label 2018 as, and 10 years from now, that'll be one of those movies, I think, where it's like, man, this is a perfect representation of the time back then.
There were people that kind of complained about the very end, where they spend the whole movie kind of freestyle rapping as like a joke to each other, because that's what they do when they hang out and they're bored. Yeah. So the ending felt natural to me. Yeah, but other people are like, "What the fuck is that? Some kind of stage play, blah blah." And I'm like, "Did you watch the rest of the movie?" Like,
we got that with Rafael Casal's character when he's doing like the courtroom thing, and that's more of a dream sequence.
That is a dream sequence. Yeah, that's definitely a dream sequence. But
so I mean, the elements are there, but man, to me, it just made me feel like, when you look at things from a theater or a musical or a play type standpoint, it was a soliloquy, and that's what it was. He's just directly talking to you as the audience.
It feels like that's how he's able to.
That style.
That's how I took it too. Yeah. That maybe like that's not how it was happening, like in the reality of that situation. But that's the way that it's stylized to us as the audience.
Right.
That's how I took it.
And that's stylistic in that regard, and also I caught it the first time it happened, but like the alarm beeping in time with his syncopations and his words. There's a whole reason that the alarm is going off and malfunctioning when they step in the house. It's so he can fucking spew bars, as they say, to the beat of it, more or less.
Yeah, we're so cultured,
which is so fucking cool.
God, we're so cool.
We're woke as fuck. We were sleeping before 2017. We sleep.
Yeah.
2018 was the year of the woke.
Yeah. It fucking is, man. But yeah, Blind Spotting is, like you were saying, man. God, it opens your eyes to so much. It really does. And it's not like in ways where like, it's not like 12 Years a Slave opened my eyes to so much. You know what I mean? It's more like the minutia of the interactions between everyday people now,
Yeah, and even how stuff can go wrong. Like when you try to assimilate yourself into another aspect of a subculture.
Oh, yeah. Is that dude named Miles too? The white dude? That's his name, right? Miles or Rafael Casal's character?
Oh, that's his character's name.
How many fucking people named Miles are we going to talk about? But that scene where him at a party, kind of losing control after shit goes down with his wife. Which, by the way, that scene was handled like intense as fuck.
Oh yeah,
and delicate and perfect. Like it just broke the fucking mood completely. It was great. Yeah. But that party scene too, I was like, God damn, I've been to parties like that, man. Like,
yeah.
Oh man, where you're with somebody, unfortunately, who's not in a good mood, and they're gonna take it out on the first person that mouths off to them, and you know it. And
they're just a ticking time bomb.
Yeah. Shit. That felt like very real on a lot of levels, but obviously it was a different environment than like Plano or some shit like that.
Right.
Yeah, dude. I loved it. I loved the dynamic with his girlfriend first when his ex-girlfriend Shiva, whatever. From the league.
The Shiva,
yeah. When you first meet her, you're like, why is she so cold, man? It's so fucking crazy. And then when you see the explanation, I'm like, I get it. I get it. I fucking get it.
I didn't know all that, and I'm sorry.
Exactly. And I'm sorry.
All movie, you're like, she's kind of a bitch. Password, what's she being so bitchy about? Like, obviously, our main character is a lovable, like, you're just wrong place, wrong time, right?
Yeah, unassuming guy.
He almost killed somebody.
Yeah. And he couldn't control himself, and it was because of Miles right there at his side. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, Miles was egging him on, kicking the dude as well, and he knows it, but they've just been best friends forever, dude. Like, it's kind of like...
I know that. And that's the part that I, like felt so often was just like, dude, this dude's my boy. Like, he's my best friend. But if I keep on hanging out with this guy, like, I'm gonna end up in jail or dead.
Something bad is gonna happen.
But you have so much history together, so you can't. It's hard to just like, I don't know. It's hard to separate the history from like, what the reality is now. And that part of the movie was very relatable. If anyone's ever had a friendship like that, like anyone could relate to that.
Yeah, for sure, man. This is just a really special movie. I loved it to pieces.
Loved it.
Yeah. Loved it. Hated it. Obviously, it's not my 10.
Was not expecting a top 10 placement going into it. Like, and you would even like told me, dude, it's great. I'm like, all right. Like, I'm excited, but I was weary, and man, I was just so happy to be wrong.
It is hard to believe off the trailers. I'm not going to lie. I agree with you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's your number 3. Kyle, what's your number 3?
My number 3 hung in there. It's Hostels.
Holy shit!
Nice.
From like January.
Nice,
yeah, that's awesome, dude.
Yeah, it's my silent of the year. The year before, Silent really hung in there all year. I'm just like, I can't stop thinking about that movie. This was that movie for me too, man. Very, very. Nothing about this movie is happy. It's so depressing. It's everything about it's depressing. Rosamund Pike's entire story is fucking awful, and Christian Bale's best bud who ends up committing suicide in the forest is just that's not fun. And it's kind of a redemption story, about Christian Bale just kind of coming to terms, just oh, all right, well, people can change and not everyone's bad. Not all these people who thought he was bad, that they were bad are bad. So I don't know. I really like the whole story, man. I think it's one of my favorite Christian Bale movies. He really disappears into this part for me. He embodies that role. I don't know. And he always does that. But this one, he's throwing an accent and he's rocking that stash, and he seems like a man in the military at that time.
He does.
And
a resentful dude. Very resentful.
Absolutely.
Everything.
Yeah, right. And just ready to retire as the last job, and I just love this movie. I love Westerns. This is a good Western. It's not as spaghetti Western as, some of the other movies that have been coming out lately, or goofy like The Ballad of Buster Scruggs or anything like that. Yeah. But it's a nice, somber, kind of depressing movie. But powerful.
It's very dry. People need to understand that when they go into it. It's not. I mean, there's some moments of, some rare moments of levity just between human beings interacting with each other, like when he interacts with the chief or whatever. Mm-hmm. But
and the end is kind of nice. He makes a good decision at the end. You're like, boy, at least somebody's getting something out of this.
I mean, it ends on a hopeful note, and it's kind of a last minute hopeful note too, which made me it made me warm because everything was just so fucking upsetting in the movie up until that point. It really
was, which I guess it made that small little gesture at the end that much bigger, It's just oh man, he did turn around and jump on that train. Okay, good.
Good. You're good for you. You wanted to give him the old Christian Bale, good for you.
Yeah, good for you. Sarcastic clap. Yeah.
That's a role that I felt he should have been nominated for an Oscar for last year, for sure.
Yeah, me too.
I was where was that? Man. Where was that award? But now everybody's just talking about Dick Cheney, and I'm like, okay, guys, come on. I mean,
he's in some pretty good makeup.
He's really good in that, but I don't know. I feel like this one is just more emotionally challenging, whereas playing Dick Cheney, you're putting on kind of an imitation, or you're forced to.
Yeah. I get why though. I mean, coming off Churchill, Gary Oldman's performance, I think they're just looking for that true transformative, sinking into the role, looking at some, even in Hostiles, sure, he acting wise, he totally embodies that character. But when you're watching Vice, man, that's fucking Dick Cheney. That is not Christian Bale.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, it does feel like Dick Cheney. And what do you expect him to emote? That's not fair of me to assess that. Yeah, because he's sounds like we have a deal.
I think we can work that out.
More mundane aspects.
Won't you be my Vice? Won't you be my Vice?
Come on, man.
Oh my God, Sam Rockwell is ridiculous in that movie. I love it.
I think he's great. Yeah, I had so much fun
more
him.
fun with Steve Carell.
Oh yeah, Carell as Rumsfeld is great because you don't know anything about Donald Rumsfeld unless you're a old school politician.
He was just he was just a fucking talkative, nasty dude. Yeah.
I would want to go to a strip club with Donald Rumsfeld circa 1989. That'd be so much fun. Especially the nastiest, grimiest strip club ever. Yeah. I would love to see him in that environment, just chewing all those people apart.
Oh boy. Oh boy. So that was Kyle's number 3. So my number 2, we are in the genre of scares.
Oh, I know which
scares.
Spooks.
The spooks. Spooky, real upsetting, make you scream a little bit.
I get all jittery inside with the creepy crawlies crawling up my spine.
Some of them have ghosts. So horror in the year of 2018, quite the landscape. Fucking great shit came out. You already mentioned Suspiria. We're about to talk about... I put Mandy here because how do you define the genre of Mandy? I was pretty terrified for some of it. So more so than I thought the action was great. You know what I mean? Because the action is supposed to be stylistic more so than something you brag about like you would Mission Impossible. So I felt like it was more so going for dread sometimes and losing your mind and stuff. And that felt like more of a horror thing to me. So I would have put that as an honorable mention for horror. And Overlord, dude, the unsung hero of horror movies. People need to stop.
How have I not seen this yet?
I still need to see this movie.
People need to stop acting like that. I know. Why is it not out there totally legally
Seriously,
yet?
What the hell?
It doesn't make sense. But like, people need to stop underplaying this movie because I keep seeing it like whenever people bring it up, they're like, it could have been more. And I'm like, I don't get it, man. It's straight up. It's a war movie with a horror element. It's straight up a war movie, and that opening sequence will tell you that alone. Movie's super fucking impressive.
How does Fitz do?
He's great, man. He has like one of the best scenes in the movie in terms of it's in the trailer where like he's they give him a shot and he's like kind of like coming up, he's coming up. He's like, "Oh, what'd you give me?" and stuff like that. And it's like just the best. Oh my god, dude! Some serious body horror in that scene. It's fucking nice. Awesome. Yeah, dude.
Is
some
this
good
movie
shit
not
in that
totally
movie.
legally available right now?
I don't get it. It came out before First Man. It came out before
Royale. What the
fuck? It came out before Blind Spotting. Like, what
doesn't
the
make
fuck
any sense.
Was this movie?
Watch it be available like right after we hang up.
I just looked and know Bumblebee is still the most recent thing that's totally legally
of course
available.
It is.
Oh, Bumblebee's there?
Yeah, it's got Koryo subs if you're down with that, but it's
it's worth it. It's worth. I mean,
Korea
it's not.
subs.
It doesn't matter what way you watch it because it's not a demanding movie anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Not really. No.
But yeah, I obviously went.
John Cena's character for me. Yeah.
I obviously went with Hereditary, and I'm pretty sure I synchronized with JD on Hereditary.
Oh yeah, definitely Hereditary. Yeah. I mean, that shit. Like, I have underwear that's stained because of that movie. I wish I was kidding.
That makes me super happy. I feel like our number one is going to be completely synchronized, which is incredible for us.
That's pretty crazy.
And it's a February movie.
This isn't a
lasted all fucking year.
I know, right? This isn't a Dunkirk scenario, is what I'm trying to say. But
okay, yeah.
One of us had to hold out,
But Hereditary, though.
Sorry for having an opinion, guys.
For me, another 5-star movie for me out of 5. For me, this one is, man, even to date, I still think about switching this with my number one because, like, I think both movies set out to do something, accomplish something, and embed themselves in our brains for months, maybe years to come, and they both succeeded on that level. And especially in terms of their genre, like, Jesus Christ, Hereditary is so unsettling the entire way through. It's so good at implanting that sense of dread in you, like from the very early onset where it zooms out of a dollhouse and you're kind of like, oh, okay, cool. So our lead character is being manipulated by something and she doesn't know it? What's going on? Like, I'm immediately like, what the fuck is happening right now?
Yeah.
I love the way lighting was used in this movie. I saw one person who is a filmmaker, so he doesn't know what he's talking about. But he was like, "Oh, there's not a whole lot of clever things happening with the filmmaking." And I'm like, "Dude, what? Like, did you not see the stuff that they were playing with the lighting? Like, there's some scenes with ghosts in it, kind of like Haunting Hill House. Haunting of Hill House, where there's like a ghost right there, but they're in the shadows, and you really have to pay attention to see them. And I'm not just talking about the one scene where she's on the wall at the end."
No, but that one still, she's in the shadows for like 2 minutes. There were people
and if you notice it in the theater, you notice it. If you don't, you're fucking like, oh, holy shit, and she moves.
As soon as she moves, you're like, oh my God, what the fuck?
Me and the person I saw it with noticed her, like, I pointed it out to him, and he was like, we were both like, holy shit, dude.
Well, you specifically prefaced it with, like, look in the shadows. So I was already looking there.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would have picked up on that, but usually I see stuff out of the corner of my eye a lot more clearly. For some reason, so I think I would have noticed it.
There's a lot of corner of the eyes storytelling in this movie, which is why I love it so much too. Though, like, it's not just that, but like, there's a scene where like it'll be a shot of the house from the outside, and then they'll change from day to night, and then there's like all these naked people outside in the fucking house, and it's like a flash, and then they go right inside, and I'm like, were there just a bunch of naked people out there? What the fuck just happened? That was dude. And that's some good shit.
Immediately want to rewatch the movie when you notice stuff like that.
Yeah, because there's details spread out, and it maps out the ending very well. I didn't have a problem with the ending. A lot of people did, apparently. Like, a lot of people were like, everything was great up until then.
I don't get that at all. 10 minutes just really fell apart for me, so I hate the movie. It's like, okay.
I mean, it was pretty much telling you that it was going that direction the entire time. You just had to kind of catch it, like.
Right.
And if you didn't like it was going there the entire time, that you didn't like the entire movie. Like, that's more or less what you're saying.
Right.
And it still has to do with hereditary and genetics and stuff, because this is something that was passed on from generation to generation, like being a part of that. I'm sorry to go into kind of go into spoilers here, but being a part of that movement or whatever you want to call it to try and avoid spoilers as much as possible. But it feels like something that she didn't ask for. Her Toni Collette didn't ask for, and she's a part of it, and her kids are a part of it now because of some bullshit that her parents did or her mom did. So, I mean, it still aligns with the title. It's not, completely lost because of that.
Just Hereditary at its core is just passing stuff on. It's obviously got a specific connotation, but it's just things being passed on from one generation to another.
It kind of like played out similar to, I brought this up earlier in chat for some reason. I don't know why Unsane is on my brain a lot. But that movie Unsane is kind of like where you're watching it, similar to The Shining even, where you're watching it and you're like, who's losing their mind here? And are they losing their mind?
Yeah.
I love that. I love not knowing what the fuck is happening because you can't tell what's real and what's not. And there's a turning point in the movie where they start. You didn't know if the girl from The Leftovers or whatever, Ann Dowd, I think her name is. She does a scene with Toni Collette, and it's like this seance, and I'm like, holy shit! I didn't know this movie was going to go there. But then she does it later on, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is for real. This is some nutty ass shit. It's for real. She's not crazy. Yeah, that's when you know. And then there's something to do with a book being burned that causes somebody else to light up on flames, and that shit was incredible. Oh my god, dude,
that was fucking insane.
Yeah, that was nuts and beautifully shot, by the way.
Yeah, really. Yeah.
Like I'm like, oh, that's awful. Look how gorgeous this is.
Ooh. Everything. Isn't the camera like spinning? Isn't the camera like spinning around them as they're arguing about whether or not they should throw it in the fire or something?
Yeah, this camera's moving a little bit chaotically compared to how it normally has been because they're trying to create a sense of like urgency and like what is really happening and stuff like that. And that's when that happens, and then it kind of like stops dead in its tracks, and it's like a dude on fire, and you're like, oh my god. It's fucking awesome, dude. This movie has balls, insane, man. And I love it. I love it so much. I think my genre bias is what's keeping my number one. So that's what I got to say about Hereditary.
Yeah, I would agree. I think also just like, don't you think fundamentally it's easier to recommend Annihilation to somebody over Hereditary?
I don't know. I have a hard time recommending Annihilation to anybody.
Yeah,
I mean,
I do.
Like
too.
Hereditary,
patience and nobody has it. So
Hereditary, I would have to judge whether or not like you're, whether or not you're a big wuss or not.
Yeah, I don't know. Like in Hereditary, like you couldn't recommend it to your sister. She didn't like horror movies.
No, my Andrew was trying to get my sister to watch it, and because he and I saw it in one night before, and it blew his mind away. And so we were trying. Like my sister wanted to watch it. We're like, I don't really know if it's for you.
Yeah.
And she fell asleep at like 45 minutes, and then she woke up the next day like, let's finish Hereditary. And like an hour and a half later, I get a text like, "What the fuck did you have me watch, dude?" And my sister doesn't really curse that much, and she straight up said that. Like, what the fuck was that? And I don't know. Like Annihilation, she got it. I don't think she appreciated it kind of on the level that we all did. Yeah. But I don't know. Hereditary just seems like, I don't know. If you're into art house horror and you can handle like visuals that are going to haunt you, and you're going to see things from the movie in the shadows in your own house, like if you're mentally prepared to handle that, you're fine. But I mean, Annihilation was just I don't know, man.
Is this special. One of the I feel like this is one of the best directing debuts like ever.
Yeah,
one of the best ones.
This is like someone's first time, and it felt like this is like a director who had been doing it his entire life.
I was like, oh, cool, Stanley Kubrick's back from the dead, cool, because it reminded me so much of The Shining, the way that it moved through the house, and it kind of kept the definition of sanity like in question the entire time, and that's what it reminded me of, the slow burn type of thriller, whatever. Question of sanity.
He was definitely influenced by that. The little featurette that played before the movie at Alamo, like he's definitely cited Shining as a big reference.
Go figure. That totally works though. It's like a reverse Shining, because she's the one losing her mind, and it's the guy who's like, can you just calm down for a second? Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Gabriel Byrne was so good in this, by the way. I was like, dude, where have you been? Like,
he hasn't. I mean, I don't remember him from a whole lot outside of Usual Suspects and End of Days, like where he was the devil. I remember him in that movie, the Schwarzenegger movie.
I never saw that. He'll always be the devil to me.
Yeah, it's 1999. because it's 666 upside down.
I did see Al Pacino play the devil. There was, for some reason, some overlap there between those movies. I don't know why. But, I'm the devil.
I'm the devil. No? It just sounds like Nappa from Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, a little bit. Sorry. I knew that. That's why I did it. Also, the guy who played the son, the kid who played the son, had this really incredible scene in the classroom where it was just super unsettling. And I love the way that it was shot, where like he was just losing control of his body, more or less. He can't control anymore, being controlled by something outside of himself. And he's got his arm up, and they're like keeping us in suspense of not seeing his face. So when we do see his face, it's like, oh, stop making that face! Like it's even worse.
Right.
It's even worse. It's just such masterful horror filmmaking. Can't wait for his next movie, man.
And they did the thing. They did the thing too where he looks into the reflection and he smiles, but he's terrified in real life. And I'm like, wasn't there a whole bad movie about that did it all the time?
Earlier this year? Did it, yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like,
I didn't see Truth or Dare, but like it was in the trailer,
Pass on that.
Big pass.
Ginormous. Truth or Dare, go see that movie. I'm just going to die then.
Yeah, exactly.
I choose death.
Yeah, I choose death.
Is there a death option? I assume there's a death option, right? That's what the movie's about.
Right.
So that's our number 2. Kyle, what's your cucky ass number? No, I'm just kidding. What's your number 2?
My number 2 is Mandy.
Mandy.
This is 100% the most Kyle movie to come out all year. It's got all the tenets that Kyle likes in movies: overuse of drugs, crazy colors, great visuals, and Nick Cage. Yeah, why not? I fucking love this movie. It was like a prog metal album cover come to life. Everything about this movie is just so metal to me. They have a giant chainsaw fight.
And, love that. Yeah.
It's amazing, and like the guitar, like the music that's going on during that part is like so fucking great or whatever. This movie's very ethereal and otherworldly, and I just love it. I love everything about it, man. It's so crazy. It's so trippy and so moody, and man, I keep on coming back to that word, but it's just metal as fuck, dude. I just wanted to like go out and like air guitar and like kick things over, like trash cans over and stuff like that. Just like movie gets me all pumped and shit, man. I've seen this movie a few times now. I think I enjoy it more than I watch it. I just notice all the little things that are going on in the background. It's a complex movie with a great score, man. And man, I just fucking love it. Great, a lot of crazy, weird fucking characters in this movie. Like the bad guy in this movie. Who's that actor?
He played like Bruce Wayne in Batman Begins. The guy who shows his dick early in the movie. Is that who you're talking about? And Mandy?
Yeah.
He didn't show his dick as Batman Begins. Bruce, grab onto this. I'll help you out of the well. Just, I gotta flex real quick.
Oh my god, yeah, he was Thomas Wayne. That's crazy. He was. Yeah, it's crazy. I've seen Thomas Wayne's dick. That's weird.
Man, that's crazy. I didn't even recognize him.
Yeah,
man.
It's totally him. Why do we fall, Bruce? To grab onto my dick.
Grab your dick again. Apparently,
grab my dick again. Yeah. Man, yeah. This is one of those movies. Like when I saw the trailer for it, I was just like, "Whoa, that's gonna be weird." And not in like a good way either. Like I'm not gonna. It looks like Drive Angry or one of a Nick Cage
I know what you mean, because Nick Cage has a propensity to do fucking shit straight to DVD movies like that. Yeah.
And then you just start hearing like, "Dude, that's a really good movie." And I'm like, "Is it though? Is it like good like?" Is it good? Like, it's fun? They're like, no, it's, like, really good. And I'm like, well, we'll see. And I didn't drag my feet too long to this movie. When I finally got to it, I was just like, oh, boy. People were not hyping this movie up enough. I loved it. It ended up being, like, the biggest surprise of the year for me. So
yeah, I can drive with that. I can agree with that. No, yeah, that's probably correct. Because on paper, especially when you find out it's a video-on-demand release, you're immediately, like, expectations lowered. This is a movie I'm not going to see this year. You know what I mean? Like, especially like, Bodied, I had heard things out of festivals, but Mandy was like radio silence. This was like in my my other, traditional top 10. It's in my like 7 or 8 spot or whatever. I really love this movie too. And I think, I hated it clearly. And I think JD hated it a little less because he's got it at 5.
A little bit less. Less? I mean, because I'm kind of between the two of you on the excessive drugs platform. Like, I support excessive drug use, clearly.
I support it. I just don't, go beyond that.
Well,
that's
no,
all I'll say.
I I definitely do. It's just maybe not all the time, or definitely not those specific drugs. But and that's just a personal thing that I've. It's really just never been offered to me. So if anybody's out there,
someone's knocking at the door. It's not a fan. It's the police.
you can at JD on Letterboxd and let them know where to meet you.
Just thank God I am on no social media thing whatsoever. Like none. So
this will never come back to haunt you ever.
No, not once. Never.
But yeah, Mandy's talk about this is a year of big swing movies, big swing and dick movies.
Yeah, absolutely.
Movies that are like, look at the balls on you, man. Like, Jesus Christ, going for it, like Bodied. What the fuck? You know, like Spider-Man in the Spider-Verse I would lump in there. Hereditary for sure is one of those, and Mandy is probably the biggest swing ever because, especially because this guy, his previous movie was very similar in terms of tone and what the fuckness about it, which I've heard. I haven't seen it, but I need to now because this movie was so fucking good. But it was kind of surprising because that reaction to that movie is much more mixed. So you would think he'd be like, all right, well, let's go back to the drawing board. What do I do next? You know, but no, he fucking stayed true to his weird ass shit, and it somehow it resonated differently with people. I think the Nick Cage aspect helped. Like I really do, like, because he can do different. I'm trying not to give his acting too much credit, but he can do different dimensions of insane. That's for sure.
He's got a dial, you know.
Yeah, and he turned it up to 11 in the bathroom in his underwear, and that was perfect.
That bathroom scene is like fucking awesome, though.
Yeah,
like,
and it was perfect. Yeah,
you see every Nick Cage in that bathroom.
Yeah, you do.
He goes from like smiling to laughing hysterically to like crying to like rage to it's just like you see the whole 50 Shades of Nick Cage in this movie.
I've literally done. I probably because I saw Mandy, I did something like that for real the other day. Like, when I say the other day, this was like a few months ago. Where like I work overnights, so because people don't know that listen might not know, I work overnights and I have to switch manually. I have to switch on call over to me for my shift at work, and I have to change it back before I leave. One night I forgot. And my phone was ringing off the fucking hook when I was trying to get some sleep, and my computer wouldn't connect. My computer I have at home wouldn't connect at all, like to my work's network, because it had been off the network for too long, and eventually those computers just get cycled out. So like I was just flipping out, like I had no way to turn the phones off to the right person, and I was like, ha 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 ha! Like I was just like, I had no idea what to do.
Oh, no,
I can't help people. I can't help people, and I can't turn the phones back to the way they need to be. So I had no idea what to do, and it's just sometimes when you live alone, you do shit like that.
Yeah,
you're like,
I remember that.
You're like, whatever, fuck it. I'm just going to shout real quick. Who cares if a cop knocks on my door? I mean, I figured it out eventually. I just called the person that was on call, and I was like, can you, like, change it over to you? Like, I felt like such an idiot, but...
Yeah.
It was still, like, a moment of, like, what the fuck do I do? It was nuts, man. Mandy, though, man, that's... I honestly, I didn't... I had it in my 10 somewhere initially, like, probably lower than it is now, and then I saw more movies and it kind of pushed it down already. But I saw those videos that you were watching, Kyle, and that's when I kind of jumped on board with the movie, because sometimes these movies do need time, like
they do. Yeah,
they can't just immediately walk out and go, well, number one. Like, I mean, the only case I did that was with my number one from this year. Like, that was the only time I did that this year. Hereditary might be second. Like, actually my top three. When I walked out of all those, I was like, there we go. Top three. Yeah. There we go.
Boom, bing, bang, boom.
Bing, bang, boom. But yeah, in terms of Mandy, it was kind of like when it ended, I was like, huh. Like, what do you even make of that? Like, it's just, it's so much insanity. And then when you show me all those videos, it helped me. God, it helped me so much. And it's not like the interpretations I watched are the correct ones, because the director's certainly not telling you, but they certainly help you think more, Yeah,
absolutely.
And either create your own assessment or whatever, but... that's when my fondness grew for that movie, is because of those videos.
a lot going on in that movie, and people are way smarter than me. So,
and
like they'll put me on like right thinking paths where like they'll start me on like the foundations of my thoughts, and I can go wherever I want to with those.
Exactly. So. Yeah, you just need somebody to help give you the push, give you a little.
Yeah, like this is the thing that you should be looking at. Look at this and the relevance of this and the relevance of history of this particular item or phrase or whatever, and then go hog wild with how it connects to this thing and this thing, and they give you the puzzle pieces and you figure out the puzzle. Still, the interpretation videos really elevated this movie a lot.
Yeah, big time for me as well. And I think I love the world building stuff, which was already there. I already recognized it and respected it. But like the fact that it's like kind of like a weird hybrid '80s world or whatever, because I'm pretty sure it takes place in the '80s.
Yeah, it's like 83 or something.
Yeah, but like clearly there's something else going on here because you have cannibals going around and fucking driving,
making packs with like
biker gangs. So there's some satanic shit going on that's just accepted in this world. I mean, or you could argue this is all the art from Mandy's brain, especially with the end credit stuff. You're just kind of like, oh, maybe it's just imagined, which is kind of cool. This is how he
personifies people to,
But it's pretty clear by the end Nick Cage is full-blown insane without the love of his life to keep him grounded. Because they both had traumas in their life, unspecified traumas in their life, but they were clearly both an anchor for each other.
Yeah,
in terms of sanity, and for Nick Cage to lose one, clearly sent him completely over by the end, and he was happy to be gone.
Yeah. Oh, him smiling. Oh my god. Yeah, the end is so great. Yeah. Covered in blood, just ear to ear smiling. Couldn't be more content.
And the world changed because of that around him. Like that's like the last shot. Is like the world's just a hellscape, a hellfire.
It's on fire now. Yeah.
And that's it. And he's just. That's his world now. He's happy with it. The
world's on fire, yeah. It's fucking crazy.
It's
fucking
good stuff,
wild. Good imagery.
Yeah, it's great imagery. And Johan Johansson, I think I'm saying the name right, is the guy who did the score. And he passed away in like February.
Right? Yeah. Ooh, he did.
Fuck. that was oh shit. That was wrong. I liked it though. What a score to go out on, dude! Like,
it really is. Yeah,
he's really good at the tension.
I still listen to this album to this day, like this OST.
Still on this one?
Yeah, I do. Yeah,
that's awesome,
it's a good work one. Yeah.
Yeah, I loved what he did in this one, and I love the grindhouse nature of the movie too, where it's got that weird filter that feels very old school and stuff. And yeah, there's a lot to love about the movie. And if you don't like it though, ballsy as fuck movie. I get it's not going to be for everybody.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's very. If I showed this to my mom, she would hate it. You know what I mean? I just didn't get it. Yeah, of course you didn't.
I would be shocked. I would actually not be shocked. Sorry, I phrased it wrong. If the only movie that people liked for my list was Hearts Beat Loud, I would not be shocked because the other ones are like either too intense or like First Man is just like some people call it too slow, or you know what I mean? Like there's just everybody's got a different opinion. So I mean,
right.
And those are movies that kind of go for it. Mission Impossible. Some people were like, some people that I know at least were kind of like, it's just like a Mission Impossible movie. What's the big deal? And I'm just like, all right, guys, whatever. Like no big deal. Jump out of a plane. No big deal.
Learn to fly a helicopter for the movie.
Yeah, no big deal. Mustache, no big deal.
Not even just for flying a helicopter's sake, for having a helicopter fight chase scene.
That was like stunt worthy performance of flying helicopters.
Yeah. Come on.
Yeah, and I just think Hearts Beat Loud will be the one that like I can recommend to parents, and they'll be like, no, it's just a sweet movie and shit like that. So.
It wasn't as good as Green Book, but it was great.
Yeah, their top 10 will just be Green Book 8 times and then Hearts Beat Loud twice.
Right. Yeah. Yep.
Because I saw Green Book 8 times in the theater.
Oh my God! I'll bet you did.
Every single time I felt a little less racist after I watched it.
That's what it's there for, Shirley. That's what it's there for.
Yeah, I like how we're making them all talk like Driving Miss Daisy type shit, which is kind of similar, honestly. But
right.
In terms of praise and how
Driving Mr. Marshmallow.
Yeah, because Driving Miss Daisy was at the same time as another Spike Lee movie, Do the Right Thing. And that's movie is regarded heavily as like Spike Lee's, if not his best movie, one of his best movies. So for Driving Miss Daisy, something that's kind of like more insensitive and lazy about its race things that it's talking about, especially in the 80s, dude. Like even by those standards, it was fucking bad. Like that movie is upsetting. Like she's a dick to him, but he always turns the other cheek, and then she likes him for it eventually. Like that's the gist of the movie, like more or less. Whereas at least Green Book is about a friendship.
If you weather the storm, that's just a bad joke. If you weather the storm, you get wet. It's just a pussy joke. Never mind.
All right. Morgan Freeman or Miss Daisy.
Well, a lot of people are like making parallels, like, oh, look, Spike Lee put out another one of his best movies ever, Black Klansman, and it's potentially going to lose the Green Book.
Oh my God.
Yeah, right.
Not that I would say Black Klansman or Green Book should win. I wouldn't personally. Obviously, my number one is my number one, but if we had to pick an award one for the Oscars, I would say Roma should be the one to win.
Roma or Blind Spotting really should be the.
Yeah. Blind Spotting is not going to get nominated though. Like
no,
of the ones that are like,
not.
Yeah, of the ones that like will get nominated though.
Should. Yeah, it absolutely
it should be absolutely. So should our number one. We're about to get to that though. Honorable mentions. Do you guys have those?
Plenty.
I have a few. We haven't talked about El Royale very much.
That is, I do have category like genre honorable mentions, and one of them is thrillers. There's a lot of good thrillers. Bad Times at the El Royale I'd categorize as a thriller, so that's one of my honorable mentions for that category. I should have put thriller in there, but I was like, I don't talk about foreign movies ever in this podcast. I love El Royale, dude. I love the themes of religion and sin and identity going on in that movie.
Yeah,
there's a lot of shit going on in that movie that's more than just a Hateful Eight type of situation.
Yeah, it was great, man. I mean, it's one of those I wish everybody would see.
And like I didn't like, while it was like kind of a longer movie, I didn't feel like any part was wasted.
Me neither.
I feel like you needed like all of those character moments.
I loved all the time that we spent with the characters. That's what I was going to say. Yeah, like every time they cut away from somebody, I was like, ooh, I hope we go back to that.
I forgot. I like Singing Lady, or I was
worried Dakota Johnson was going to be that character.
Yeah.
And I mean, dude, this year's totally changed my opinion of her.
Oh, yeah. I know. She's like great now.
Like, what's funny is that she still released a 50 Shades movie this year, but we're over here talking about her better shit. Like that stink of that movie didn't impact our impression of her in these movies of Suspiria and El Royale. Yeah. She's good, man. She's got talent. Widows is another thriller I had for thriller.
Wanted to watch that real bad.
Incredibly shot. Again, where is Widows? Where is Overlord? Fucking kidding me with this shit. Steve McQueen is just such a...
We needs them.
Yeah, we needs them. We needs them bad. Steve McQueen's just such a master with the camera, dude. That's a main reason to love it. And Daniel Kaluuya's bad guy character is just... Oh, God. Yeah,
watching
he is loving it. He is loving that character. You can just tell. And I loved rewatching it recently. I loved You Were Never Really Here with Joaquin Phoenix, where it's
that was good.
A much more muted, like Taxi Driver type movie.
It was, yeah.
Where it's like it kind of like robs you of the violence on purpose. But I just love what it's saying, dude. Like it's his reason for living was because he felt like he was contributing a service, and he was obviously by beating the shit out of people that were like kidnapping children for sex,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And at the end...
You don't disagree with that at all.
At all. But like otherwise, he's doing suicidal shit. Like he's suffocating himself and stuff like that.
Yeah, right.
But at the end of the movie, he's with the sole purpose. He dresses up in a suit and everything. He's going on a suicide mission. He is like, this is my last good deed. I'm going to save this girl. And everybody's already, like, he kills all the guards, whatever, but the main dude is dead. He's robbed of killing the dude that committed the crime. And his reaction to that, like, stripping his, like, taking his suit off and going, fuck this. And then, afterwards he's having that suicidal dream, which is insane. Like, it just comes out of nowhere. And everybody's just like, if somebody puts the check down and stuff like that, like, it's just no big deal that he kills himself in the middle of a diner. Yeah, dude, there's just so much, like... There's like more layers to that movie that's actually happening than what is happening, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
That movie's good. And it's by the guy, speaking of Radiohead people, it's by the guitarist, the score is by the guitarist of Radiohead, Johnny Greenwood.
Oh, wow.
Who did Phantom Thread. Yeah. He did Phantom Thread too, and he's just incredible at scoring.
Man, Radiohead is fucking everywhere this year.
Yeah, I know, man.
What the hell?
That's my thrillers. Those are the one I had for that. Do you guys have other ones?
I still enjoyed Quiet Place. It's somewhere in my top 25 or so.
Yeah, I like that one. Quiet Place was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that was a good theater experience. I like that one in the theater.
Yeah, it absolutely was.
Everybody was like holding their breath, like just if I make a noise, the monsters will hear. Like, it was just a cool experience collectively.
It's like the floor is lava,
Yeah.
I probably like this movie probably a little more than you two did, but it reminded me a lot of like Miyazaki horror games. Apostle. It felt like Evil Within and like Resident Evil 4 and like all these like classic Miyazaki films where it's just like, hey, I'm infiltrating like a religious cult and holy shit monsters.
Yeah.
You know, it does hit some tropey beats and stuff like that, but I really like the aesthetic of that movie and the look of that movie, and I winced a lot during this movie. There was a lot of like moments where I was like, okay, too gory.
Yeah, that third act is that's where it's full of all that stuff, like all the gore and the killing of that kid.
Mm-hmm. Oh god, that part was horrifying.
Horrifying, and you're like, somebody better get vengeance. You know, like I was just so mad at that part. But,
right,
like,
and
that
then
third
like,
act goes balls to the wall. It's crazy.
Well, absolutely, and you have like people who are obviously the bad guys, and then by the end of it, they're not really the bad guy. You know?
Like Michael Sheen's character or whatever.
There's shifts in like who the terror is in this movie and stuff like that. And I thought Legion Boy did really good. You know,
he did really well. And I like that brief action scene that Gareth Evans couldn't resist of him being tied up, and then he takes that little whatever that what is it, bamboo or something that he's tied up in, and he just takes it and just shoves it through somebody's cheek or whatever, and I'm like, Jesus.
Fuck.
Just how smoothly he did it. What reminded me of the Raid, how he switched his arm position to do it, and I was like, oh, that's the Raid right there in that one shot. But the rest of it, he loves doing that gore horror type shit. He loves that shit, making people squirm.
Yeah, there was a lot. I was squirming quite a bit in this movie, so good for him on that.
I like that one.
Yeah, I think I had Buster Scruggs in my top 25 somewhere. And just like that movie's jolly. It's super jolly,
movie,
man.
It's so good.
Not all the stories are jolly, but it starts very jolly.
Yeah, it ends not jolly at all, but it kind of summarizes the whole theme of the movie, I guess. Mm-hmm. More or less, but it's not my favorite story at the end.
It's not my favorite either, but
I love the gold, whatever the fuck, Tom Waits character. I don't remember his title.
Oh, Mr. Pocket.
Yeah, I love his story. That felt like
I'm gonna find you, Mr. Pocket.
That felt like old school Western Coens, like in terms of like the slow, methodical pacing of that story. I love the Mr. Arthur story. Arthur is a good boy.
Yeah.
Shit. And then, of course, the beginning story of Buster Scruggs, which was like criminally short, but
yeah, absolutely.
But it was still like, I can't believe this movie is happening. Like it was just I couldn't believe the shit that was happening was happening.
I was like, wait, what the fuck?
when he kicked the table and that he made the dude shoot himself, I fucking paused it because I was laughing so hard, dude.
And then he turns and he's like, now technically that's suicide.
Yeah,
he's like, well, you got me.
He's not adjusting the camera.
So good.
Oh, that's good, man. I love that bit. Oh shit. I like the Liam Neeson. It's dark, but I like the Liam Neeson one.
I do too. I think people were a little sour, and I think the order of the stories was perfect. The order, like I wouldn't want them in any other way.
Yeah.
It was. I thought that story was like very, very cool. I mean, it just it was surviving in the West, man. You know, that was his whole thing, was having a show, and he found better, greener pastures. You know,
and thank God for the Franco one for the meme.
Yeah, thank God for that one.
Yeah, first time. Yeah,
first time.
That. That was good too, and his fucking luck, dude. I mean, that's really ultimately that was the West, you know? I mean, if you lived, you were lucky. So, I mean, that was such a cool story. And then he didn't live, ultimately. But still.
Spoiler alert, he's Domino from Deadpool's great-great-grandfather.
What?
Said, spoiler alert, he's Domino from Deadpool's, like, great-great-grandfather or something.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because of the luck.
Oh, yeah.
And he got really lucky there a couple times. And it ran out on him. Hey, but he did find a pretty girl in the crowd.
He did. Good for him. Good for him. Winked at her. No, I'm just kidding. The other genre that I had in my honorable mentions was family movies, and I'm not going to dwell on it too much. If everybody wants a movie that you can take the whole family to and enjoy, try Paddington 2. Try that. That's a really fun movie. And Mary Poppins Returns. Not going to dwell. Right. Those are good movies for everybody.
That's good.
I feel like you guys watching it alone would be weird. But like if your family was like, well, let's try this movie, I would say don't fight it because they're actually pretty good. Like, it's not like, let's try Crazy Rich Asians. It's not like, it's not like that.
Oh, yeah. My family did that. That was awesome.
Yeah, you're like, oh, great. Thanks, guys.
They're like, what'd you think about it? I was like, it was all right. They're like, cool, we're all going to watch it. I'm like, all right.
Do you guys have other honorable mentions?
I've got Sister Brothers. I really like that movie a lot.
Oh, yeah. I like it, too. I like that it goes in different directions than what you'd expect.
Me too. Yeah. that big accent at the end that really takes out everybody's nap.
Jesus, yeah, that like I'm like, this was there was so much camaraderie going on here. Shit.
Yeah, right. I thought things were looking up for everybody.
Yeah.
I also liked All About Nina.
That was Mary Elizabeth Winstead, dude, give her an award for that shit. That was incredible.
Absolutely, she very and Common wasn't annoying. Good for him.
Yeah.
And I just like movies. Like we don't get a lot of movies about stand-up. Like that kind of like exists like in TV. Like you get stand-up stuff like on TV and stuff like that. But this was kind of interesting to explore it like in a movie format. And enjoyed it. I think that's probably the favorite. I think we already brought that up though. Outside of that,
that was one of the comedy.
Those are all in like my top 25. So.
The favorite is I have to watch it again to start quoting shit back to you guys because there's some shit in that movie that is just so well eloquently written for being so filthy. Like it's just if it were like a I don't know, it's like a Judd Apatow movie written for back then. It's just so fucking filthy, but it's so eloquent and poetic about it. I love that about the movie. And I love I don't know, man. It's just the whole theater experience that I had with that, where everybody was laughing at, kind of like similar to what you were talking about, JD, with Isle of Dogs, where everybody's laughing at the same thing.
Yeah,
that was the favorite, and I was kind of surprised because this is a Yorgos Lanthimos movie, man. This is a guy who did Killing of a Sacred Deer.
Yeah,
everybody's laughing at this movie, and it's just I didn't expect it. I just didn't, and fucking nailed it, dude. Emma Stone killing it per usual. Rachel Weisz and Olivia Colman. Stealing the goddamn show. I'd give her an award for that role. That was
please let her win.
Seriously,
totally okay with that.
What, Glenn Close? Are we really having? Do we really want to have this conversation?
Do you really want to
have this conversation
right now?
Right now.
She's not even blood.
Coleman
All right,
is better than Close.
Do you really want to have this conversation? All right. So that's all I got.
Yeah. There were some criminally hated movies that probably didn't deserve the hate, like Ready Player One. I don't know what.
Stop hating that movie, people. Like that is genuinely like.
But you don't like having
fun? Yeah.
Yeah, like there's nothing not fun about that movie.
Yeah.
You went in there with aims not to have fun.
I was pretty giddy during that entire movie. JD,
me too. I had a lot of fun.
That was a lot of fun, and we both read the book.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of the complaints that I heard from that movie stemmed like, they made too many changes from the book. Dude, the changes that they made were fucking
better.
Rad.
Yeah.
Like, instead of just going to some bumfuck planet and looking through a bunch of empty schoolrooms and desks to find the first clue, you got
a whole Shining scene.
Race with the Akira bike and like the Back to the Future car and King Kong on the road. Like, get the fuck out of here, man. That was that was a spectacle. I don't know what people are thinking.
A lot. Stop hating on it.
Yeah, I know. It's a shit ton of fun. And another movie that really doesn't deserve any defense because it's just an okay movie, but it probably doesn't deserve to tank a whole franchise. Solo. Why are we canceling like Star Wars projects because this movie exists?
It's not like it was bad enough where it was like we should never do this again.
I know, right? But there's a gross overcorrection going on right now because of how bad Solo is, quote unquote. And I'm like, and it was fine, like it's okay, it's just a movie, It came out.
And Infinity War, like still Infinity War was like in its fourth week, I think, when Solo came out. It was still kicking ass.
Yeah.
So it didn't really have a shot to me to do
like
that
number
well
6 of the year, though, wasn't it?
I mean, it didn't do bad by any means. It's just you look at it from the Star Wars metric, and I think people were still very hesitant to get back into that universe after the way that Last Jedi treated them so badly. It was terrible. It was so bad how it ruined your childhood. So,
oh my God.
I don't know, man. There's
a
lot of contextual factors for why Solo did poorly. But it's not bad. It was still fun. I just
it was fun.
I just didn't have any desire to rush out and watch it again.
Yeah, there were some standout moments for me, like the big third act reveal and Lando in general, and there were some really fun moments in that movie. The Kessel Run was fun.
Yeah.
I know I touched on it earlier, but Won't You Be My Neighbor was a experience for me in the theater the first time. That was really close to dethroning Three Identical Strangers, but I think it was just something about Three Identical Strangers just blowing my mind entirely. That's the reason I chose that one. But yeah, Won't You Be My Neighbor, I saw it at the Dallas International Film Festival, and it was a full house, and everybody there wasn't a dry eye on the house. Like by the time the credits were rolling, we were all crying, and they were handing out tissues to everybody, and everybody was just openly crying and like letting it go. You know what I mean? It wasn't. Yeah. It was just an experience. You know what I mean?
I never knew how deeply emotional a 9/11 impacted him. We're like for a moment, dude, like he didn't even have like the not the willpower, but like the positivity or the thought to be like,
how do you make sense of that?
He was just like, what is this? Who is this helping? You know, and like everyone's like, dude, like you have no idea what your influence is.
Yeah.
And just watching something so horrific, like so insanely inhumane, like he just couldn't comprehend it because he was too pure for all of us. You know, like he didn't view the world like, you know, the way that a lot of us see it, you know, not that he was blind to it or anything, but he chose to see like the good in everything.
Yeah.
And, I wonder what Fred Rogers would think about Three Identical Strangers, man.
Right.
I would love for him to be.
They were doing that. He'd probably like go back into his totally made up Navy days and start like, we're gonna go out there and kill them. They're getting the children.
Gonna get you.
Dude, that movie is just really special, and it makes you feel like it's even more of a tragedy that we don't have a Fred Rogers nowadays.
Anybody like
and this is definitely a front runner for. I think it's the front runner for best documentary. If it's not, then don't give out the award.
Yeah. I mean, if it's not one of those two, then what are you doing?
This movie needs a voice, especially on a big platform like the Oscars. So
yeah.
Just expose it more to people.
Maybe the next Fred Rogers is out there, waiting to be shown that it can be done.
It's not his weird sons who are like, yeah, my dad was real crazy.
Yeah,
like
he's pretty much Jesus Christ.
yeah, pretty much second coming of Jesus. I'm like, holy shit, I did not expect that to be his sons. Because he's so mild mannered and just like, I don't know, just the way he spoke was just kind of like in a way that was just very soothing. Whereas it just can't be duplicated in that way, I feel like. That scene where he changed that congressman's mind about funding for PBS. Yeah, that was my first cry.
Broke me.
Yeah, that was my first cry.
Just by reading a poem.
Yeah.
You know, and he wasn't he last like after like 3 days of
he was like very end, and the guy was kind of fed up, like, all right, you want to just read the fucking poem or whatever. And he's like, he giving him attitude, and like he's just like, no, I just want to talk about it real quick.
Right.
Oh man.
As soon as he's done, he's like, well, you got your 3.5 million or whatever it was.
Right. Yeah, it was great. He saved it on his own. That was such a brilliant. What a brilliant dude. Missed that dude to pieces. All right. So our number one. Well, my number one is in sci-fi. If that's not obvious, I'm a sci-fi cuck. Upgrade was the only other one I would have ever considered for this, but Annihilation is just so much better than any other sci-fi movie that came out. So that's my number one. It sounds like is it both of yours?
Not on my list.
It sure is.
Not on my list. You know what? Never saw it.
I was actually a bigger fan of, let me just scroll through this real quick, The Outsider, with everyone's favorite Joker.
With Jared Leto.
He's totally a Yakuza, and it's so believable. This is not your number one, you guys?
My number one is Fantastic Beasts, The Crimes of Grindelwald. Because I love when the creator of a franchise changes shit on a whim to match her new canon for these stupid-ass prequel trilogies.
I actually had a tie between Bird Box, Game Over Man, and Den of Thieves for my number one, so I just couldn't.
Bird Box! Guys, can we just say, real quick, just one sentence? Bird Box is fine.
Yeah, it may even be subpar fine, but it's fine enough.
It's
fine.
Like,
if you watched it, you definitely spent some time.
What you
not
did,
good, not well, not
is
in
you
a
watched
good way.
The movie.
But you definitely time passed after watching that movie for sure, for better or for worse.
It sounds like I like the movie a little more than both of you, but like
I think you probably do. Yeah.
Well, I think the hate just got accentuated because you were reactive to the reception. Like my problems with that movie have little to do with the movie itself. It's the reception around it.
And I think I'm
for loving that movie
because of how much people like it. I'm like, you guys, it's okay to watch it, but let's stop calling it a good movie.
Yeah, like what the fuck are we doing here? Like we got A Quiet Place this year. You liked A Quiet Place, right? You're a fucking not y'all. I'm talking to them, like the hypothetical them. They saw that fucking movie. That's good horror. Like
Yeah.
What the fuck are you, what are you seeing in this one?
But if
that's
you like A Quiet Place more than Bird Box, you participate in toxic masculinity. So.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
Well, you don't like women leading horror movies? Why did you like Hereditary then? Oh, wait, whole logic and...
Yeah. Oh shit.
Yes. Suspiria. Suspiria is all women and it's horror. What do I know?
It literally is all women. Tilda Swinton is the fucking man.
Yeah. Yeah, Tilda Swinton.
He plays a good man.
Yes. Holy shit.
Literally, there's no men. The only men character that show up are cops, and we see both their dicks.
And then you see both their dicks, and they laugh at them. They humiliate and laugh at their little dicks.
Yes,
you know.
Please tell me I'm being too harsh on a female-led fucking horror movie.
I would love to be lopped into that. Right. Group. That's great.
Right. And clearly, as a bunch of women haters, like that's why we loved Roma so much, which is basically an homage.
Yeah.
To women,
it's basically it's far more personal for Alfonso Cuarón than it would be for either of us.
Told in a way
it's him going, "Hey, I really love my mom and my caretaker," like a shit ton, and that's it. You know, like that's the movie, and
like you're the best thing in my life.
Yeah, exactly.
I was there, man.
But no, Bird Box is definitely it can't be critiqued because women are in it or whatever the fuck. I hear sometimes. I don't know.
Though there's men in there too, but whatever.
Yeah, that's fine. Whatever. And they all die. How can they be men if they're dead?
If they're dead.
Yeah, anyway, Annihilation's great.
Yeah, it is.
It is. It's the best.
It's super great. We had to have some sort of like pile on something. I guess Bird Box, might as well be a good.
Yeah, might as well be because you guys haven't seen Fantastic Beasts because I've told you not to.
Yeah, right.
And it's bad. So it made me mad. The more I thought
Jeff,
about it, whereas Annihilation,
you should just give into the fandom, Jeff, and just be happy that you're getting Harry Potter.
It's just more Harry Potter, Jeff. What's the problem?
Hey, if wizards could really make poop disappear, wouldn't wizards make that movie disappear?
Look, I saw
zing,
boom.
I saw the movie pre-poop tidbit, so I don't know. I can't really. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm going to be viewing it with a
conversation, but it's
post-poo lens. If
Annihilation
you will,
is a movie that I saw in February, and I fall more in love with it the more I think about it. And Fantastic Beasts is a movie that the more I think about it, the more I get mad at it.
Yeah,
so that's polar opposite reactions from this year.
Annihilation's got like a fucking like stellar cast, man. It's got such a good cast. I love
all female, by the way.
All female, except for Oscar Isaac. Who's just kind of there. And I really like all the ladies who end up like walking into that goddamn ship.
Yeah, they all felt like very real people. Like I believed that every single one of them would have made the choice to go on that venture. You know.
Yeah, and I think going into this movie, by the way, this is a February movie and it's still on number 1. Going into this movie, I remember our top 10 most anticipated. I had this kind of low or maybe not even on my list for the year, and I think you guys had it like both higher relatively because of Ex Machina and whatnot. But it's just because I didn't buy into all the hype, all the not the hype, but the rumors about the studio not believing in the movie. But it just made me question like my own anticipation for it a little bit. Like, what if it does suck? You know? And turns out, hey, the studio fucked up.
Yeah, right, big time. Yeah,
they distributed.
Well, thank God they didn't have their way.
They sold it to Netflix for international, and that kind of fucked the movie over. Honestly, I mean, in my opinion, I feel like it fucked the movie over. Like, it didn't even have a chance to recoup anything that it put into the movie by not having it in box offices overseas. Like, it just didn't.
I think in the cast out, I think it was going to be bigger too. You know, like it seemed like because they were doing such a big marketing. Like,
they were. I was seeing them everywhere.
They were really pushing this movie despite it not being like international release, which was again you said really weird. Marketing's expensive, you know, like that's
very. And I think the producer, if I saw Scott Rudin on the street, that's the producer. He's kind of a bigger producer around Hollywood. I'm trying to remember what other movie he recently produced that was like a bigger movie. I can't remember, but he genuinely believes in a director's vision to the point that he'll protect them over a studio asking a director to do something like. So he was the one that defended Alex Garland's vision in the States and said, no, we're not changing the ending based on test screenings. This movie's fucking awesome. People are going to like it. Like, I mean, not just people are going to like it, but there's a purpose behind what Alex Garland did with the script and the movie and the final product. So we're not changing it. And studio was like, fine, then we'll just, sell it to Netflix overseas. So, I mean, that was like the compromise more or less, but I would give that dude a fucking hug, man. Like, I mean, you did this movie so many favors by not allowing Garland to compromise his vision. And they've said in interviews, Garland specifically, about how frustrated they were with that whole process, like, of the studio meddling or attempting to meddle. And that's a real shame. And that did impact my hype a little bit, where I was like, I had doubts, but then the reviews came out, and I was like, never mind. Never mind. It's still Alex Garland just being himself.
Yeah, right. And and you get a lot out of this movie. Like I think by minute 25, minute 30 or something like that, like they're walking in the shimmer, so there's a little bit of setup, but it's very minimal. And by the time that you're getting in there, you don't know who the characters are, but the character study, if you will, is ongoing as they're walking through there and slowly losing bits of like their time and their minds and everything. And it's very interesting, man. Like they have those like really like quiet moments where they're like paddling in the boats, and it's just like, so why are you even here? Like dead kid, dead family.
It's like they're confessing. It's like they're confessing their sins in a way, because they feel like this is a suicide mission already. Yeah. So I mean, it's because it feeds into, like Jennifer Jason Leigh's character said, it's the self-destructive nature of human beings. Yeah, they all know what they're going into. You know what I mean? Like, so I mean, why not just unload? By the way, that person hurts herself, and then that person over there is. You know what I mean? Like, makes sense to just get it all out in the open right away. I think some characters though just didn't accept the environment they were in.
No.
Like Gina Rodriguez's character,
some people wouldn't.
Gina Rodriguez's character was losing her shit. Like, she was not happy with being messed with this way, her DNA being messed with just organically while she was in the shimmer. So I mean, I think that contributed to her losing her mind. She didn't like not feeling like herself anymore, even though honestly all these women were like admittedly self-destructive in their own ways anyway. I just like that whole idea of like everything's kind of vague.
Yeah, right.
You can kind of just assign your own meaning to it. I fucking love that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But not like Bird Box vague, like actually deliberately vague.
Deliberately vague, where it's
don't
all
have a budget
there
for the monsters vague.
And they give you enough clues and tools to like, all right, now you go out there and figure out what the answer is.
Right.
Like, here's everything in front of you that you've experienced, So it's not like you're just like, it's a crapshoot of theories or whatever. Like, you can come to some pretty genuine, things, but like you can interpret it in so many different ways, and especially that ending and just what the aliens were even doing there, or these beings were even doing there, like they're just they don't answer the questions that are not important, they don't
know if it's just this cell that's rapidly dividing or if it's actually got a consciousness or like
right
nothing is deliberately given to you.
It seems like its purpose, and again, this is not deliberately said to us like you just said, it's the alien's purpose is to just replicate, like kind of like a cancer cell, right?
Some way.
And that's how they survive. That's the only thing that they are consciously
doing,
or not even consciously, subconsciously doing.
Yeah, you can't even say whether it's conscious or not. It's just because a cell is a part of a living organism, but a cell itself is not aware.
And it goes back to her not sermon. What do you call it when you give a
dissertation or whatever
the fuck? Whenever she's teaching a class about cancer cells.
Yeah, her
and she's
lesson.
explaining how cancer works and stuff, and how it's not necessarily what's the word I'm looking for? It's not knowingly or doing things to harm you. It's just the way that it works.
It's just it's nature. It's basically
it's in its nature, and that's in the alien's nature is to just replicate, regardless of who it hurts or doesn't hurt, basically.
Yeah. And like everything is so deliberate in the movie. Yeah. Like the stuff that they're talking about at the very beginning with like cancer cells and breaking down replication. Yeah. Even the song that's playing at the beginning, we're one person, we're two together, we're three. Yeah. It's just like you're like, okay. It's just so on a repeat when I'm watching it, I'm like, this is all fucking
it's all there,
yeah, man. It's so crazy.
I love that. And I think somebody, and I didn't even think of this, I talked to somebody that I saw the movie with for an hour outside the theater, and we were just talking about the parallels. He kept telling me, you got to, Jeff, you got to watch
movie, right?
Yeah, you got to watch Stalker. Andrei Tarkovsky explored this idea already in a similar way. You got to watch that, trust me. And I did, but that's not the point, though. The point is that I sat outside the theater talking for an hour about this fucking movie, and and that's why I was like, oh, number one, there you go, boom, right there. What else makes me talk this way? This made me do it, and Hereditary made me do it with and those were different people that I saw the movies with. But we still sat outside the theater just fucking talking about what we just saw. And in Annihilation, there was something that you guys said that I was eventually gonna circle back around to, but now I can't remember what it was, and that's gonna drive me fucking insane. Oh, there was a critic I was listening to a podcast of his, and he said that this movie, if you want to get kind of simplistic about it, is what if the world got cancer? And I'm like, oh, interesting. I didn't even think of that when I left the theater. Even in the hour-long conversation I had with my friend, didn't think of that. And when he said that, I was like, oh, interesting, cool. Cool. But that was it. I didn't further dive into the minutia of the plot points and stuff of how it ties back to cancer. I was just like, sure, I agree with that. But then once they go into the shimmer and how it deeply and personally impacts each character, it's a different story entirely, and how you got to assess it. How you got to suss that out is just completely different.
Right.
Yeah, but that's the whole idea, I guess, if people want to get simplistic about it.
And like one of the most unsettling, and I would even say horror scenes, like exist in this movie of the whole entire year.
The bear thing,
absolutely,
and then that photo of the bear where you see the human skull that's in the side of the bear skull.
You can even see it like in the movie too, though.
Yeah, you can see it. It's dark though, so
it is dark.
I can totally understand why you would miss it live because you're too busy like shitting yourself or whatever. Oh man.
Shit.
That
scared the living bejesus out of me.
The pants out
just
of me.
unsettling. It's growling and screaming.
Yeah, its growl is the scream. Is the echo of the person that it just ate. Yeah.
That's Cassie. No. Like, oh shit.
Yeah, seeing a picture of that in the light, like the prosthetics of that bear machine thing, which was practical, scarier. Even scarier.
Yeah.
Made me want to shit myself. That was fucking crazy. I love that scene. Yeah, and I did love the ending too. I think the ending was where it could either lose people or go, oh, I'm fully on board for this. And obviously we were all like, ooh, I want to know more. Please continue imitating each other. Whereas some people felt like it lost its train of thought or whatever.
I thought that was so like, oh, this is this version's like 2001, like, trip scene or whatever, where it's like, it's so weird and like,
when she was looking into the alien,
like
she was like looking into the alien as it was morphing into a version of her and or her body type or whatever. And it resembled the Stargate sequence in 2001.
Yeah.
All the colors
even when she's looking into the like the void, where like the thing is like, oh, is that the part you're talking about?
Yeah.
She's looking
just like the one drop of blood goes in there, and that's what makes it formulated to her.
She doesn't have a cut; like it just comes out of her, like right underneath her eye, and it's like, oh, it's so fucking cool. That whole entire scene is just so fucking like trippy, and in the right way. Is like it again, the movie earns it, like. You don't know what's there. When they get there, it's something beyond imagination, It's just this weird fucking thing, and then how the scene progresses, where it does turn into her, and by the end of it is her, and it's just cool, man. Yeah. And then that scene where like she's like watching, like her husband kill himself, and then himself is videotaping it, and it's just oh my, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah, that's still the thread that I'm like, I think I need to rewatch the movie or something. But that's the thread where I'm like, why now?
Maybe they went through the same thing where he looked into the thing and it replicated him, and instead of her destroying it, like I don't know, it's one of those things.
He was like content. He felt like I guess it was something to do with her affair that he felt like. I'm not wanted at home anymore. Maybe it's you that she wants or something. And he felt that was enough to go. But it's never explicitly told to you that's why he did it. But obviously that's why she went, is to repent for her previous sin or whatever. And that's why I think that's what we're supposed to feel about why Kane left, is like, without really telling her, is just kind of like, I have a thing. Don't worry about it. You don't care anyway.
Him finding out about it and never addressing it to her, like, destroyed him.
Yeah.
So he went out and did the most self-destructive thing he could. Walk into some
literally destroyed him.
Irreversible, shimmer thing.
And that is interesting too. In the end too, I was trying to assess it too literally about like, are you who you whatever. Where they're talking to each other and they're like, are you really Kane? And he's like, I don't know. Are you really whatever her name is? And she's like, I don't know. And I'm like, yeah, I believe that because their DNA has changed so fucking much.
So much, yeah, absolutely.
From being in there.
How she's wearing the tattoo of another character by the end of that movie.
Yeah, exactly. You know? So she is still. I mean, she's the person that we saw enter the Shimmer. Like she physically.
Yeah.
That's the person that we saw enter the Shimmer.
Switcheroo at the end. You know? She, like the goo person didn't end up in the.
Yeah, no, she killed the cancer. Yeah. She killed the cancer. I think they mentioned that it all disappeared, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so. It did. It collapsed.
As soon as it set on fire, but it had already found the next means for spreading.
It exactly like it had already figured out a way to exist in some way.
Yeah, so that's true. So it is out there in the open. So if they could reproduce,
not wins again. It's not trying to do anything, but it's still doing what it was programmed to do. You know?
Right.
Exist and live on and replicate.
It's kind of like in a way that's similar to
they're gonna have shimmer babies. Yeah,
that's similar to cancer in a way because when you beat it, it's like, well, that's still a thing that's dormant.
Yeah,
it can just come back.
Yeah.
Right. And the damage might already be done in a lot of different ways too.
Exactly.
Like it might not be doing any further damage at the moment, but at what cost was your survival obtained?
Right.
It can be difficult to treat cancer.
Look at the wrestler that just had to leave, Roman Reigns. He's like a top guy.
Man.
He's
just been living with it on and off for 10 years?
And he never mentioned it in all of his time with WWE. He never told anybody publicly this is my thing from my past. He basically just quit football because when he was younger because of leukemia, but he never told anybody that it was leukemia that caused it. So it's similar to that where it's just kind of it's always going to be something within you. And those two characters in Annihilation are always going to be something that's wandering the earth. And whether or not it becomes the Shimmer again, who knows?
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
that's for the imagination.
You're dealing with a naturally evolving thing.
Yeah.
I think the Shimmer was just this, and I know we touched on this in our 2-hour-long review of this movie.
Yeah.
The Shimmer is just this point of refraction, and it's trying to find balance somehow. It's trying to find the next thing to use to further its means. Now, not consciously, but that's just what it does. So, it finally found two humans that it could meld with and do its thing, and now those two humans are together because they have their own connection. It's about love.
It's about love, Tars. Yeah, I love that it all comes back about love. You know me, I'm a sap, and it's not explicitly said, but hey, they're made for each other is what I'm trying to say.
Right.
Yeah. And that's why I love Interstellar, and that's why everybody else is wrong about Interstellar.
Yeah,
welcome to Interstellar Podcast.
Yeah,
I don't know. Do you have a couple hours we can talk about this real quick?
You guys got five more hours real quick? So thanks for listening to... I think we're done, right? Thanks for listening.
It's good. Go watch that movie.
Just go watch that movie instead of listening to us. Sorry for telling you that so far down the road. But thanks for listening to our most epic episode of what's the name of the show again? Entertainment
Over 3 hours.
Podcast.
It's that one.
And I wanted to mention that I am doing 10-second movie reviews again, and I have my 10-second movie review up for Glass on the YouTube channel. Go watch that. It's fun. It's meant to be funny, along with an actual review. You know what I mean? So I had to. It's meant to be like a writing challenge for me and stuff, and also funny and ridiculous and funny. Stupid. And thank you. So go watch those if you literally have 10 seconds. Okay, it's 12 seconds, but still, it's fucking short. And that's on our Facebook page as well, and Twitter, EoC Pod. So go find that shit. I'm serious, guys. I'm gonna try doing that with larger releases and stuff like that. Not like I watched an indie movie called The Standoff at Sparrow Creek, which was great, but why the fuck would I do a 10-second? It's not gonna get hits,
Yeah, right.
Glass is still on the tip of people's tongues. So what?
It's big-ish, yeah. People know.
It's big-ish, yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's the biggest one for this month, at least. So
for sure.
Yeah. So go look for that and for more of those coming soon. And Kyle's places at sub-culture.com.
I sure am.
I think you're still doing that.
Yeah.
The podcast is fun over there. That's a fun time.
Yeah, we're doing that still. Yeah.
Oh, that's fun. I like listening to you guys. You guys are just so good at arguing with each other. Colby is just ridiculous. And JD is still. Cutting into people's buttholes or whatever he does with his doctorate degree.
I have quit being a doctor to be a professional Battlefield player. So
best job in the world. Yeah.
Best job I ever had.
Yeah, there you go. Best job you ever had. That's what I meant. Oh, hey, is New Orleans winning? Oh, who didn't predict that? I definitely didn't predict that.
I may or may not have money on the Rams. I don't fucking know.
Money? You don't bet. It's not legal.
I usually don't,
sports.
but I've got a coworker. It's friendly bet.
Sports talk.
Sports.
Sports ball. Man.
Anyway,
good job.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody.